You're on.
All right, it's Monday, July 24th, 2023. This is Tufton Borough Selectmen's meeting. I'd like to open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up on our agenda is a public hearing. And the purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on the Great Meadows Lions property easement. Public hearing's coming first, because I said so. Excuse me. This is for the property easement from map number 15-2-33 for the purpose of conservation. For anyone that doesn't know, the town purchased a 22-acre lot on Sodom Road for the purposes of conservation, and we're here to see if anyone has any comments, questions, or anything else about it. It's been going on for a long time. It finally gets straightened out, and we now have an easement on the property.
Nice.
Any comments or questions from anyone? In that case, I'm going to close the public hearing and we'll move on. Next up on the agenda is public input. And we have Ms. Marilyn Stacy who would like to address us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to come up if you'd like to, Marilyn, or you can do it from right there.
I would like to do it from here.
Okay, and try to speak a
I
little.
can't stand up.
Okay. Well, you can sit up here if you'd
too
like to, but
long.
try to be as loud as you can, please.
Okay. My name is Marilyn Stacy. I live in Tufton Borough. In the current summer issue of the Tufton Borough Times, the Select Board report says they are working with solar vendors on a town solar system. And I'm here to give you information on the larger picture. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to change your mind about it, but I wanted you to know this stuff so that I can be comfortable with myself. The timing coincides with two more solar interests nearby in Moulton Borough and at the North Country Village. This is similar to a solar push around 2010 when the park discovered the financial figures were false and ended the project. It's the same federal controllers trying to do this again. Should their financial claims be trusted this time? Consider that as I explain more information. Last Friday, I had a conversation with the park president, who is now considering the results of my information in a positive way from my point of view. I help a state representative occasionally on legislation. This rep connected me with another helper researcher in Moulton Borough. That helper is currently working on preventing a Moulton Borough solar project. I gave the helper a copy of an article I found through research. That article was also given to the park president and will be given to the select board today at the end of this explanation. The helper in Moulton Borough researched further and discovered two more points. Point one, Elon Musk started a solar company that is inventing a better system. As the article proves, China is now in control of solar systems that also need repairs or replacements in less than 10 years and have many operational problems. The presently remaining one of USA companies, not Musk's, cannot manufacture solar products, and to function, they have to buy solar products from China, as all USA vendors, called installers, have to do. And as the article explains, they have to be connected to China. Point two is that the Moulton Borough researcher discovered that in 1949, China revealed their 2-point 100-year plan. Point number one is to destroy the USA. Point number 2 is to control the world. Please note that 2049 is not far away from now, and China should not be in control of USA solar now. Presently, the solar industry is controlled by China, and most of the money involved goes to China. This information led the helpers to think that now is not the time to invest in solar. It's best to wait until Elon Musk finishes cleaning up solar to be efficient, reliable, and affordable, with the money going to the USA and not to China. So I will give a copy of the article to you, and then I would like to ask if you have any comments. That's my copy. This is my copy. And these are the select board copies. Right. So, here we go. There's one, and there's a copy of what I just said.
Well, we'll certainly give this to Candy as well, so we have it on record.
Yeah, I have one for her.
Yep. In our talks with the New Hampshire Cooperative about solar, we have been made aware of the Chinese involvement, of course. And we're also aware that Moultonborough, although it doesn't belong to the town of Moultonborough, has a solar array that the New Hampshire Co-op is experimenting with. Just for your information, Mary.
Thank you.
So,
Oh, could you say that again?
we're aware that the co-op has a solar array in Moultonborough at this time. And it's an experimental thing. They've actually leased property from the town of Moultonborough and built the solar array.
Who did this?
New Hampshire Electric Cooperative.
Oh, the electrical.
Right. And in our talks with them, they told us about that as well as other things, and did recommend that American-made products would be much more reliable than Chinese, however expensive as well. All right. So I have to thank you for this, and I'll certainly look it over in depth.
Right, well, my concern is that there's a push all at the same time.
Yes.
You know, it's like they want to get a bunch of money together, and it
Sure.
makes me wonder why, you know.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
so you can think
thank you
about
very
it.
much.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll continue on. The next appointment we have is with our fire chief. No, come on. We're gonna follow the agenda. Adam.
Okay. I know I was a little early.
All right, actually, you wanted to, but we'll take it. I like early is on time and on time is late.
Thank you.
That's his thing.
That's
Right on.
Yep, to everybody that works for me through the years.
Currently, 107 fire calls, 164 EMS calls, 53 service calls, and 8 special details for a total of 332. Gas furnace inspections 32, oil burner inspections 4, wood pellet stove inspections 5, life safety, life safety should have been 24, not 247.
Okay.
7 got added in. For a total of 65, and you can see that we're just about on track with the 2022 numbers. The following is a larger calls that we had through the town in the month, and it doesn't fully list the day-to-day calls. In 7/7/2023, motor vehicle accident request for our ambulance to Route 16B, Center Ospey, we were canceled en route. We sent 1 ambulance with 2 personnel. 7/8, fire alarm activation, 240 Middle Road, Tuftonboro PD, town offices at 1:25 a.m. Rescue 1, Engine 2, and 5 personnel were there. We ended up finding a faulty detector in the PD side. Once PD got here, we were able to make entry.
So that was here.
Yes, but it was on the police department side, which we don't have keys to access to.
It's a Knox box, you can't.
No, the police department is separate, there are no keys, just for this building. We did a traffic detail in Melvin Village Community Church for the fair and auction. We had 3 personnel for that event, and the event went well. We had a reported motor vehicle fire in the area of Mountain Road and Transformer Station at 1:28 p.m. And that ended up being a good intent call. There was a steam car that had pulled over, and the person that called it in had never seen, a steam car before, and know that it actually has a fire in it.
It was a steam powered car.
Yes, yes, it was. It was one of Blazett's vehicles that had pulled off to the side of the road. We had a fire alarm activation at the central school, and ended up finding a defective smoke alarm in one of the attic spaces. We've had issues with them before, and they have changed out the detectors. On 7/15, we had a 2-car motor vehicle accident with significant damage, with 1 vehicle into the home at 126 Mountain Road at 8:36 p.m. There was a total of 3 patients, 1 transported by Stewart's ambulance, and 2 were signed off at the scene. We received mutual aid from Osby Corner Fire Department, and a 2nd ambulance from Stewart's to the scene. Tuftonville Engine 1, Rescue 1, Ambulance 1, with 5 personnel responding to the scene along with Tuftonville PD. The signs that are there do appear to be working. However, if someone's speeding or going through the stop sign, then the signs aren't going to have.
What about that accident that was up there that somebody hit the house?
That's what I was just talking about.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So this was from somebody running that intersection?
It may have been someone coming through at a higher rate of speed. I'm not sure. Not the police department. That would be something Andy could.
Right. But
Excuse me, Chief Shigori could let you know as far as it goes. But it does appear that the vehicle coming through the intersection hit a vehicle coming across. In the back of the vehicle. So the car,
somebody on 171 hit somebody crossing?
yes, the road. There was some, with the vehicle crossing, there was some language barriers with them as far as it goes. But we worked through that and were able to get everyone either signed off or transported from there. But I do believe that you can see those stop signs very well as far as it goes.
Well, you're thinking the speed was on the 171
Yeah.
vehicle, so it wouldn't
Make a difference.
Right.
Yep. Road washouts on 7/16/23. We worked with the highway department and the police department, and we got signs and cones out for them. The worst area was in Canaan Valley as far as road washouts and things like that. And when we get a little bit further into the whole thing, I have the emergency management side of stuff. We had reported smoke in the basement at 23 Castle Shores Road in Moultonborough. We sent 3 personnel and 1 engine. We had on 7/18/23, we had a tractor rollover with entrapment and injury on Airport Road in Melvin Village. We had Rescue 1, Ambulance 1, Car 1, Engine 2, and Utility 1 with 9 personnel at 1:36 p.m. Stewart's ambulance and Tuftonville PD assisted at the scene. Our ambulance ended up transporting the patient to Huggins Hospital at the paramedic level. On 7/22, we had a CO gas alarm with high readings of CO found in the garage due to charging of golf carts. That was at 30 Beach Road in Bell Peak. Engine 1, Ambulance 1 responded with 5 personnel at 10:30 p.m. We're currently working with Camp Northwood in Pleasant Valley Camp in reference to a possible addition to their current dining hall. And we're working with the residents on 50 Mountain Road with a possible modification of a barn for a larger childcare building. Subject is currently licensed for childcare and is looking to expand the number of children. The move of the radio repeater to the cell tower site from Central Station is still in progress. The site now has a multi-electric meter socket set up, so we can apply to New Hampshire Co-op for power once both sides agree to wordage of the contract that was sent out to the town attorney. The E-line would also need to be moved from Central Station to the radio cabinet that has been installed on site by the Ospey Valley Mutual Aid Association. So I did see the emails back and forth from the town attorney, and I have sent an email to the cell phone company, and I was just waiting for some information back to see if they were okay with changing the wording in section 22, which was recommended by the town attorney. The department was asked by Stewart's Ambulance Executive Chairman Justin M. Van Eden if the town would entertain housing a crew at the crew and ambulance in Central Station, as Moltenborough is asking Stewart's to remove an ambulance and one of its two crews that operate out of their Central Station will be removed to make room for their fire rescue personnel, which are going 24/7 when their hiring process is complete. Initially, I advised him no, because in the past the board has not recommended something like that. Also, I see how having a full-time agency other than one that's handled by the town, how it affects the morale and the building use as far as it goes. You have no control of their personnel as far as whether they're cleaning things up or what they do. I wouldn't be against the Mirror Lake Station being retrofitted to house a crew and an ambulance if it could be done, but that would be something that the board would have to decide and answer, as it's obviously your building.
But you have equipment at the Mirror Lake Station. So
We
what do you
have,
do with that?
currently we have a engine there, we have the old fire truck, and we have a trailer that is there. The trailer could be moved outside if need be as far as that goes. So there would be a bay that could be opened up.
But they're talking 24/7. So
Yes.
you have
So it would be basically up to them to retrofit the building to the upstairs as far as to have sleeping quarters and a shower and stuff like that. But I wouldn't think that the town should go under the cost of making that retrofit, as far as that goes. But he said that if that was the case, that we didn't want to entertain a motion along that lines, then they would find a area as far as that goes.
Would that change the contractual agreements that they put forward?
I would think that the town would, as far as contractual agreements, would have to look at all of that stuff.
Right.
As you
I mean,
go
did he
along.
make any indication that they were willing to change their contract? or-
I think that everything right now they're just looking to see if there was any area, he, as I said, he did mention Central Station. We're not set up there currently to have someone housed out of there 24 hours a day.
And
But,
did you mention Mirror Lake to him?
I mentioned Mirror Lake to him as far as it goes.
Reaction.
He said that it's something that they could look at. So that's all out there. It does look like one of Wolfborough's options will be to make a recommendation for their fire department to do their own ambulance transports. If that is the option that they choose, it'll take time for them to get up and running, as they will need 2 ambulances and get a transport license in place. It also takes time to get Medicare and insurance accreditations, and the ambulance billing in place. So it's not something that would happen overnight. You know, obviously they're going to have to keep a contract going with someone, which would probably be stewards at that point in time. But as that whole situation goes on, I'll keep you abreast of what we run into. We will be meeting with Chairman Rob Roystein from the Budget Committee in reference to how the department operates. He wants to come in and spend whatever amount of hours going through with us as far as how we operate and day-to-day operations as far as it goes. As the emergency management director, I turned in an estimate of $49,733 of road damage for the 7/16/2023 storm. The estimate of damages is from the road agent, Jim Beam. This is only an estimate that I had requested to get a damage survey filled out for the state. It was recommended by FEMA that we get a bid from at least 3 contractors or companies to make sure we are keeping with the procurement policy. This will make sure that the road agent is charging competitively for the work he does when the storms occur. So basically, what they're saying is in advance, you know, every couple of years, talk to 3 different people that do road work as far as contractors, and have them give you bids on what it would cost if they did, you know, dirt work and stuff like that to make sure.
Did the $49,000 worth of repairs happen?
On the back, you see an estimate from Mountainside.
Yes.
He broke down the different roads as far as that were damaged, what they'll take as far as repairs. It could be over that, but this is just an estimate.
So the work wasn't done?
The work,
Some of that road damage, you couldn't drive over the road unless it was done.
Right.
Some of it had to be.
yeah. Oh no, this work is done, I believe, or is in the process of being completed. But what the FEMA representative was saying is that
Right, but I'd ask the FEMA representative if he requires towns and cities with highway departments to do the same.
no, highway departments is different than a person as far as
Road agent.
the road agent type of thing. That's where they're running into problems. There was a town in Maine that they were taking back $300 and something thousand because of issues with that. But yes.
So we can do this retroactively? I mean, I don't wanna hold up the road.
Oh, no, you're not gonna stop as far as the repairs.
Right.
But this was brought up on one of the other storms that we had, and when I finally was able to get a hold of him, that was the recommendation when I talked with him
So
a
are
couple
we gonna
days
get
ago.
some FEMA funding?
If there's a disaster confirmed with this last storm, which there probably will be because
Yeah.
there was quite a bit of damage that was done through New Hampshire, there's a possibility of funding, but we need to be prepared to answer any questions when it comes to that. So I just don't want them to deny us
Right.
as far as it goes, but we do need to look at that in the future just to keep us along with the procurement policy that we do. Also in this, you'll see, you had asked in the past as far as to keep you update on mutual aid responses and mutual aid received. That's on the back page.
Yeah.
And we have a delivery estimated date of 7/27/23 for the new car 1 to Hilltop Chevy dealership.
Next week.
So I won't hold my breath, but hopefully they'll be there. And I know that we've ran into an issue with the procurement. That's why we did a procurement policy in 2019. And I had asked them, you know, how did we get through it before, as far as, and apparently whether there was a contract in place as far as between the town and what the road agent was gonna charge per hour, but they said that is the easiest way, is to get the 3 estimates to have on file, so that you can go through and make sure that he's staying within a reasonable.
Well, we've done that on occasion. I don't think this year we did it, but I know we ran the hourly rate for his equipment at one point in time.
Yes.
I forget when that was. It was over a year ago, I think.
Yeah, it was over a year ago. And actually, he came in very competitive.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
good stuff.
Our engine 4, that is still out, there's no complete findings on that.
Am I helping you out on that at all?
Yeah, they're still in the process of trying to locate where the metal is coming from. Everything in the engine, part of it is checking out, but there is pieces of metal coming from somewhere. There's a possibility that it's coming from the oil cooler. They're in the process.
Is that turbocharged? Because sometimes like.
Yeah, it has a turbo. It's a 515 horsepower Detroit. There's a possibility that somehow got lodged in that cooler when they did the rebuild, and now all of a sudden it's coming out as far as it goes. But apparently they're just like everyone else. They have issues as far as health, and they're getting to the stuff as quick as possible. So when we hear
And we're still using Multibros power.
we do not currently have it in-house.
Okay.
That was going for the final okay as far as for their selectmen. But once that okay was in place, then we will have it there. But we're still down one truck.
So clear, I wasn't clear on where you're gonna put the engine from Mirror Lake.
As far as,
If we decided-
if you decided as far as the ambulance was, that engine would stay there.
Where they-
There would be an open bay, one of the trailers that is housed in there would
So
come
they
out
only
of
need
there.
one bay.
They only need a bay.
Okay.
And as long as the ambulance fit as far as height wise, then it shouldn't be a problem. But the actual problem would be as far as to have, because it doesn't have a shower area, it doesn't have living quarters, and you would have to have a second means of egress out of the upper floor. Besides a window, it would actually need to have stairs. So obviously they would have to go through the planning board and everything, just like everyone else.
Right.
Plus that, I don't know how far that falls from the lake.
How's the septic system there?
It was replaced, as far as it goes. And obviously, we used that until 2013, when we moved out with a new building. But that would be something that Jack would have to answer, of whether that could sustain people there 24 hours a day.
But all that said, I mean, if we're gonna continue to have an ambulance contract, and we can offset that with rent.
Yes, quite
that
possible.
Might work for us.
I do find it interesting when we speak of Moltenboro, that it looks like we gave Moltenboro 10
Yes.
mutual aid calls, even without our engine 4.
Right.
And in the past, they've been real good about letting us borrow an engine, so I'm thinking they'll probably do it again.
Right. Yeah, no,
That's
I
great.
think that we do provide quite a bit of assistance on that side, so.
All right. Anything further for the chief?
I did see your email as far as for the
Yes.
suppression system for
Yes.
that, so you just tell me what you're looking for with that recommendation.
I want your blessing on it.
Okay,
I want your professional blessing.
okay.
I know that these guys design systems, but need your permission to install it.
Okay, very good. I'll just go back through it.
And they're adding on to the Tedeschi Center or whatever that is down there.
Tadaro.
Tadaro?
It won't be the Tadaro Center, that's a separate building, but their dining hall.
Oh,
They're
so it's
looking
for
at,
campers.
they're looking at where they're camp kids eat. Obviously, it's a boys and girls section. They're looking at adding on to the girls section so that all the campers can eat together as far as in the girls section, instead of some of them having to be downstairs in like a basement area as far as it goes. I think it was like 1,200, a little over 1,200 square feet they were looking to add on. But that does look like it incorporates a sprinkler system, and to see how far they have to go, you know, to bring the other parts of the building, if anything, up to standards. They're not taking it down like Camp Belknap, you know, as far as the whole building. They're just adding a section on.
So how involved is your department in that?
We obviously have to go through and look at the plans and things like that, as well as Jack, and our side as far as, you know, whether it needs a sprinkler system, what it's going to need for exits and all that different stuff. So it could take whatever amount of time. We have quite a bit of time into Camp Belknap as far as that whole new building, as far as it goes, so.
Yeah. Well, Belknap's less of a problem than Northwood, as far as I'm concerned. Northwood has never given us
Okay.
a pilot, you know, payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay.
So they got a free ride all the time. I'm looking for an hourly rate out of the fire department. But probably not gonna get it this year.
So that is something that they were just running through, whether or not they're gonna go through with that is,
And they still have to
It's
go through the
Tuesday.
planning board.
oh yeah. Yeah, I think that that's coming up, as far as it goes, but, that's all stuff that you probably will, I think is there a representative from the Selectmen's on the planning board?
Yep.
Well, Bob's a lot nicer than I am. That's why we let him do the planning.
Great.
Okay.
But,
If there's nothing
thank you.
else, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Chris Rule, our transfer station superintendent, with his report.
Yes, have any questions about her? She gave you last week about that land.
I have another copy, does anybody want it?
Sure. I'd love to have a copy. I've got one.
Do you have yours, Chip?
I'll find mine.
All right.
somewhere.
Here's your page. Oh,
Yeah,
Now, is this a year to date, or is
yes,
this
that's,
just for June?
that's,
It says June
yes, that's,
23.
correct.
It's,
That's-
it's just June.
yeah.
You want me to make one? There
I
it is.
found it. So this is up until June, before we made the change to the C and D charges.
That's just June.
So, because you're $5,000 upside down on your C and D.
Well, total, I see, is, here. I need this sheet too.
Sorry, I don't have that one. I'm just looking at this where we had $12,432 in cost against $7,387.
Mine's crossed out and it's actually updated.
Okay.
to 88,787.
Instead of 7,387,
Yes,
so 8,087,
787.
okay.
8787.
The total CD for the year to date is 52,008. And the total that we paid is 42,893. So
You're 10,000 bucks upside down.
we're 10,000 bucks ahead.
No, you're not. Your cost is 52,000. Is that what you just said?
No,
No?
Okay, your revenue is 52,000.
correct.
Then this sheet doesn't matter. That doesn't have any information that's useful. So you're saying you're $10,000 ahead on your C and D?
That's how it played out when I added up all the bills and all the
Okay, I
income.
hope you are.
I don't.
Yay! Hooray!
Absolutely.
So I think we should,
We'll know by the end of the year.
yeah, we should just keep going status quo. We shipped 121 tons of household waste in June, 102 tons of CD in June, and almost 3 tons of plastic in June. And what,
Is it revenue for plastic or is that just?
no,
It's
it's
just
just,
separate?
yeah, it's just, we're just getting rid of it. Yeah,
Is there a,
it's,
does it go to I'm sorry, Chris, I keep interrupting
no,
you.
go ahead.
Does it go to a different place?
Yeah, because, well, waste management, plastic recycling, but,
So it's just a it's a avoided expense?
so, yeah, we do, and we, you know, I put down $350 for avoided costs. Because it doesn't go into the compactor. And Wednesday, I've got about 46,000 pounds of cardboard going out. So we will have some revenue from that.
Right.
And I won't know what that is until this month, but that should be decent. We have been saving costs on the metal. We haven't been making money on the metal, but we've been saving costs because the shipment and the hauling fee is balanced out, so that's been nice. People don't like it because the metal pile's not there, but it's clean and the shipping is basically worked out to free. So,
Well, to ship that metal pile as it was is complicated, yes?
Right, yeah.
It doesn't handle it easily.
we had to handle it a bunch of times now. People just put it in the container and we call and it's on it,
Right.
gets shipped. So it's much cleaner, it's much easier, and it works out good. And now it's basically zero balance. The electronics, I had a conversation with electronics people at East Coast Electronics Recycling. I'm waiting to get a call back from their regional manager. We apparently had some side contract with them that I had no knowledge of. They sent me a bill for $500 for not shipping enough containers last year.
Do we have a minimum amount we have to send them?
Apparently we did, and I didn't notice.
Do we have a copy of the contract?
No,
Maybe they could provide us.
so I said, I called them up, I said, why do I have this bill? They said, well, you didn't ship 4 containers. So it's $1,275 every time we ship a container.
Mhm.
And we get no benefit from any of the electronics that get recycled. So we get all the TVs, all the VCRs, computers, whatever, and then break them down and get the benefit of all the electronics in them. Plus they charge us.
So what was the How many containers did we
We
ship?
shipped out 2 containers and they're about, 4 tons each full of electronics, plus they charge us. And they wanted to charge us $500.
So we need
Flat fee.
they feel that we have a $3,000 contract with them?
So,
Yeah,
So-
I'd ask them for a copy and then
so,
take a look at it.
right now, looking into another vendor. So, which is going to pay us for the electronics, a percentage. Yeah, so they'll inventory everything that we ship and pay us a percentage of what's in there when they break it down. So it's like that was a much better deal for the town rather than just paying and basically getting penalized.
Well, we can't let the bill for $500 sit there, so we need to
Right.
finalize that.
And I got a copy of this, I don't know if this was forwarded to the town.
I don't know what it
I
is.
don't know who wants, that's a
Can't see
copy of a bid, but not bid, but quote for scales.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the quote, I saw the meeting.
Mhm.
Plus there's a picture, a couple pictures in there
Right.
for locations and,
So is it your plan, guy, to bring that to CIP?
I just put that on there because I didn't know if I should.
I'm not the CIP representative.
I know we're all going.
I am going, but I do not intend to take the heat like I did last time, being the only one there. We need to talk about this during Selectmen's update, I think.
Okay, I
Let's
mean,
do
it's-
that.
I don't know if that's,
We'll go
So
from
you
there.
guys can have that.
because that's coming right up in a couple of days, so.
Tomorrow, actually.
Is it
25th,
tomorrow?
yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that later, eh?
So I wanted to update the permit. But you have to make a couple of little adjustments to the permit and then come back to you, have it signed again. The location needs to be adjusted. I put down GPS
Mhm.
coordinates for the location and it needs to be, I need to add written
Verbal.
directions.
Okay.
So,
Should be a survey kicking around somewhere.
so I had to put one on one line, GPS coordinates plus written directions from a waypoint. So I need to just do that rather than chicken scratch. I'm gonna retype the whole thing. And plus, we have to put a topo map, geological survey on there. I couldn't do it from my computer because I'm locked out of that type of Google search. So Tammy looked it up for me, but it's giving us some problems. So we'll work that out and get that printed. So this should hopefully be wrapped up this week.
So that's the new permit?
Correct.
Okay, and is this the time, I don't wanna go back to them again, so let's add
Well-
the additional equipment if we wanna install it. I mean, let's put a scale somewhere, if we're ever gonna put a scale somewhere. Let's put solar somewhere, if we're ever gonna put solar.
I think the advice that I'm getting from Mark down at Concrete is
Yeah.
get this permit correct. This is the original permit. And then modify the permit once it's correct.
Okay,
He's the one working with them.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is coming out of Concord, right? Yeah, if Concord is telling us to get this one right first and not add any more to it, I would say do it.
Because it's,
I know exactly what Chip's thinking.
Yeah, I-
Why would we wanna go through it
It's
again?
our fourth year now with Union Wharf.
Right?
yeah,
I mean, at some point in time, DES has gotta kinda get off their ass and
Yeah.
do something.
I was thinking the same thing today when I was thinking over it, and I had to change this again. It would be easier just to pop in there and pop, but we have the solar survey and all that stuff
Right.
available to pop that in there.
Or just get a letter out of him saying it's, that we can modify it. you know, get an affirmative letter from DES that they'll accept modifications. And then we can go from there and just send in what you have. But it would be nice to get some statement out of them that it's not gonna be a 5-year process for them to decide whether or not we can have a scale there.
Well, we know the wheels of government turn slowly, and the higher you go up in government, the slower they turn.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we do gotta get this permit straightened out.
any modification is a permit application. So when this permit is approved, when we go to modify this permit to put scales in, it's another application like this. So it's a, you know, a level 3 permit application. So I have to do one of these, repeat everything that's on here, plus scales.
Right,
Repeat everything on here, plus solar.
right.
It's really not that big a deal, but it's labor intensive to a point. Because we have to do the geological survey, we have to do, you know, it's,
The horse is dead.
All right,
but
I think you brought us some good news today. We'll see how those numbers play out at the end of the year, and if so, we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 10 grand ahead without a scale, it changes our equation on plan.
Absolutely.
we're keeping a very close eye on that.
Yes. And we may still decide that we'd like to scale, but it might not be tomorrow, or even next year, or a year later. We'll see how we go.
My other topic is 2 people having interest in coming to work. One is in Buckleboro, Mountain Road, and one is in Moultonboro. Both in younger persuasion. And
Do we have a job opening?
we've got 3 actual per diem openings.
This goes in accordance with your plan to eliminate per diems
And so, yeah, would,
and hire a full-time person.
it would be nice to get these guys trained up and give us an opportunity to have a bit of somebody that could slide into a full-time spot
So you currently have 3 full-time, including yourself, or
for, including myself.
4 including you, so 3 workers.
But we could get, if I could get these 2 guys trained up, and you would give us 2 guys trained up that could do everything, run equipment, have them serve.
But they have to be per diem, because that's budgeted.
Yeah, yeah.
I see no issue with it. If you feel they're
I
gonna be adequate for the job, and we haven't interviewed them, we have no idea, we have
We'll
to.
have to bring them
Bring them in.
This one, and had spoken to him in the office, this gentleman, I haven't had him come in yet, but I'll bring him in, and then I'll bring both in for you guys.
Right.
Make an appointment and bring them both in.
I think that would be the best way to approach it.
Having a better bench is always a good thing.
Doesn't hurt a thing. Good.
Okay, my only other topic of discussion, piggyback on Adam's roadside damage discussion is the rain that we had last week, our catch basin in the back parking lot undermined and sunk. So,
Down by the metal pile?
so we've coned it off, and I've got a call into the gym to come and take a look at it. It's, I don't know how much it's gonna cost, I don't know, it's probably gonna have to get dug up, maybe have a riser put on it and get gravel or what have you.
And where did that exit?
It goes out past the landfill closure into a holding pond.
Okay.
And, but it's, you can see it's all caved in, and it's undermined, it's a big hole, it's not, the culvert's a deep one, it's 15 feet deep at least.
Oh, wow.
So, it's all around it, so, if somebody drove over him.
Like on TV.
Yeah, just like on TV.
Don't hesitate to light a fire under Jim.
So,
Because I would be concerned about the
Well,
pipe
that's-
leaving it being
Yeah, out of whack,
out
but
of whack in the wrong direction.
And
if it
that's
sank,
right.
it may have pulled it down, wasn't it? Yeah.
so,
And how much is, I mean, when you pull those containers out with C and D, is there gonna be more undermining going on?
yeah, so we're being very careful in that area.
Yeah.
Anything further for Chris? All right, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Just the tiniest bit ahead of schedule, but I see no reason that we don't proceed with our agenda. Next up, we have John, and I believe Michelle was your name, remember?
Yes.
Susan? Pleased to meet you. I'm Guy Pike, obviously. I'm the chairman at the moment. Not bad. Sorry to meet you under these circumstances.
Nice to meet you.
We've
No, Bob. And this is Chip Albee.
How you doing?
Bob?
Nice to meet you.
So if I can go on for just a minute.
Sure.
We're all aware of the situation that you want to speak about.
Okay.
We have your letter that was written by Michelle, which is very detailed.
Yep.
And we have a form that both you and Bob signed,
Yep.
saying that the matter was closed.
On paying for the signs, correct?
Yes.
And that I wouldn't press charges.
Okay, this is me, right?
No, this isn't.
Okay.
All right, so let's keep it as civil as we can, obviously.
Sure.
We're
Of
adults.
course.
Yeah,
And feel free to give us your thoughts.
okay. Well, I'm gonna let my wife talk first. Ladies first, right?
So the letter that I'm about to read, so that the whole town can be aware of the matter, I think everyone has a
She
right
wants
to
to
know
read
what
the letter.
happened, was written that day of the occurrence, which was July 11th. So the tone of the letter kind of reflects my feelings that day, which haven't changed an awful lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by reading the letter. So the letter was written on 7/11. My name is Michelle Ann Souza, formerly Michelle A. Mancini on the deed. And I own, along with my husband John Souza, the parcel 59-211, otherwise known as 99 Mountain Road on Route 171 in the center of Tuftonboro. It is a 20-acre parcel that I purchased back in October of 2012 from the Hodgson family, with the intent of building on it once I retired from my insurance career at Amica Insurance, located in Concord. I just retired in February of this year after 34 years. I nicknamed the property Freedom Fields, as it has been known as a summer camping place by my family and friends. My husband has worked very hard over the years to keep the fields neat and cut. We love it there. It is our happy place. We have a camper situated there and many other camping supplies that over the 10 years, no one has ever respectfully touched. My husband is the owner of JKS Construction, and last year he relaunched his business by pivoting into excavation. This year he spent a large amount of money on advertising, much of it is grassroots, with signage and graphics. We will be building a home on the parcel in Tuftonboro in the near future, so he placed 7 signs, 2 foot by 3 foot along the roadside. There is a little over 1,200 feet of frontage on the property. So there were several spots where they were spread out. We were unaware that we needed a permit for these signs on our property. Jack Parsons contacted John a few weeks ago to let him know that we would need to take them down when we get a chance to get up there, so the matter was resolved. John owns a biker clothing company, Grave Robber Industries LLC, and we have been flat out with Bike Week, and the rain has kept us from camping. So John went up on 7/11 to take the signs down and cut the fields, and called to tell me the signs were gone. He called Jack Parsons, who informed John that Selectman Bob Murray had taken it upon himself to go on our property and take the signs down, maliciously destroyed 6 of the 7 signs, and brought them to Jack's office to boastfully show him what he had done. Jack told Bob Murray that John was aware that the signs had to be removed, and John would take care of it in a few weeks. Bob knew this, but felt he had to make his own time frame and took it upon himself to remove the signs and destroy them maliciously. Mr. Murray has no authority to have even done such an action as a selectman. This is the code enforcer's job. There are processes in place for handling these requests, i.e. a call first, a letter, a certified letter, etc. It was done by Bob Murray for no other reason other than he wanted to do it, even though he was told not to. We were also made aware that another selectman has taken it upon himself to remove resident signs on Route 109A. It was caught on a security camera. What is going on with these selectmen in Tufton Borough acting like this and overstepping their authority? We do not know Bob Murray. As of yesterday, was the first that I was even being made aware of him. As I mentioned, in the history of the property in 10 years, he is the very first person to have destroyed any property on it. And I'm shocked that this person even works on behalf of the community. Today, after my husband John spoke with him and asked for restitution to replace the signs, he came to Jack Parsons' office to meet him there. He admitted what he had done, paid $250 for the cost of the signs. Before coming to the office, he actually said on the phone to John that he would try to get the town to pay for them. And my husband said that he needs to pay for them or we were going to press charges for destruction of personal property. I am making this clear that had we not requested immediate restitution for the destroyed signs or charges were going to be brought against Bob Murray, I believe he would not have cared one bit, and I feel that he would have gone on his merry way. So now, along with this letter, we are going to be attending the town meeting to be held on 7/24 at 5:30 to discuss the matter and make sure that everyone is aware of what is going on. People who are elected to a position in town should be expected to act in an ethical and respectful manner. Bob Murray had no right nor authority to do what he did per his position, and others should be made aware of his irresponsible actions. These signs were small ads for JKS Construction, and they are expensive like everything else these days. They were not hurting anyone, and they were on our own property. As I state, we were unaware we needed a permit. So we do have one now for a single sign. While it might not seem like a big deal to someone else, selectmen have no right to destroy personal property, and neither does anyone else for that matter. As a property owner for 10 years in Tufton Borough, while not a resident there, we will be within a few years. We continue to enjoy our property as it is our summer getaway. We are members of the community. I own a music and social media and advertising business, Northern Freedom Arts and Music LLC. Along with Grave Rubber Industries, we have been planning to hold events at the property at some point which would be open to the community and our customers. This is something we've been thinking about for several years, even before COVID. As I mentioned, I understand per Jack Parsons that there are permits that are required, and we are fine with that. But also the selectmen need to be informed as well. We expect that Mr. Murray would be cooperative with us and not try to roadblock us because of the embarrassment of what happened and how I am bringing this to light. So I am sending this letter to the town of Tufton Borough to be aware of what happened. And we will see you at the meeting on 7/24.
All right. So, is there anything else you'd like to
Nothing else,
I have
do at the moment?
I have something.
John?
Yes, I could read that. It still bothers me that he knew that Jack had talked to me. He knew that I was taking the signs down before he took them down. I called Jack, I left a message saying, hey, I thought we had an agreement to your son. He called me immediately. I called him on his cell phone. He wasn't working. He called me back immediately, said that Bob had taken the signs down. And I says, was Bob aware that I was coming to take them down? And he said yes. He says he knew you were coming to get them. He goes, I don't know why you took them down, and I told him not to. And when he showed up in the office yesterday morning with the signs, he even said, why'd you do that? I don't know if there's something personal about Bob or somebody he knows or something, but to me, it's still not setting right. It's, first of all, not his job, it's Jack's job. No selectman should touch anybody's signs or anything. That's Jack, the code enforcer's job. And Jack said it. And he told him it was already. I came up that day, they were gone, and he took them the day before. Okay? I don't know, and I've been hearing things that some stuff like this has happened before, and this is reason why I'm bringing it to light. Because if it happens to somebody else, that person needs to say something too. Because selectmen in any town shouldn't overstep their boundaries and go on someone's property and take signs down. We're gonna be living here within the next 5 years. We're gonna build a beautiful home over there, be running my business up from here. And the purpose of us coming here is I don't wanna be roadblocked in anything we do with that property. Because if I just held it between me and him, and then he got upset and I put things in meetings for whether it's zoning or anything, and it has come before you guys, we don't wanna be roadblocked.
I really struggled with bringing this out, I'll be honest with you. This is the last place I feel like sitting at this moment, and this is not the terms that I wish to meet members of the community, as we will be living here soon, and I love
We live in
Tufton Borough.
Gilmanton right now.
I love that property, I've been spending 10.5 years now there. So many people in the community are aware of the property. You drive by it every day, because I know you work down the street and live not far from there. I'm sure you've seen the many parties that we've had, the children that go there and camp over the years. My nephew grew up going there. Many of the kids in the community grew up going to that pond. Everybody knows. I just don't understand how this could be the first negative experience I've had with that property, with a selectman who, I can
I still don't
understand
understand
why
why
you
you would
did
still take
this
them down though.
and
When
destroy
It's not even in
them.
your job description.
So we're civil.
Yes, you
I'd
are.
like to
Yeah.
understand why you did it.
Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I learned something about this whole event. There were boundaries that I overstepped, and I apologized already. I don't know how many times you want me to apologize, but I accepted responsibility for my actions. I paid you back for the
Yes, you did,
signs.
yep.
We shook hands at the end.
Yep.
I'm grateful for that, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that there aren't any grudges, but it was.
We don't have any.
No.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
And just a little bit about me. I've served this town previously to being selectman for 17 years on the zoning board, excuse me. And the presentation, the attitude that I brought to the zoning board was try to help people get things done, not hinder them.
Yeah.
You find people, similar boards hindering people in other towns.
Yeah.
We always want to help people get done what they want to get done on their property. I overstepped on my bounds.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like you said, I drove by those signs every day. I guess they got under my skin because I drive by them twice a day. It's as simple as that.
But why would it
Why
get
would
under
they
your
get under
skin?
your skin? I
It's
don't
just
understand
signs.
why that would
Like I've been in
bother
business for 34 years as a builder. Last year I invested $250,000, bought excavators, track loaders, I've been switching my pace, okay? As you know, you can't get good help up here. Machines I can run by myself.
Get any help is a miracle.
But, so I need to get the name out, so I put all those signs up there. So if you're helping the community, you should want someone who lives, or at least has property in the community, to prosper and get their name around. And to me, it was like, why do you have all the signs on? I'm still just, that's the only thing that was said. Yes, I accepted your apology and I accepted your payment, but I just feel that this needs to come to the meeting so that future things don't get hindered, anything we want to do on that property.
And as I said, we were completely unaware that we needed permits. I
Because
handled
they're
my
yard
husband's
signs, they're the ones you're sticking
advertising.
around, you know?
I created his webpage. I'm handling his Google advertising. It's $250 a month just to run ads. You know, we have a lot that we're balancing with this business, plus, like I said, going into excavation, and we live in Gilmanton, but we have the property here that we're gonna be building, we're advertising all the way around the lake. So this, the only property really
No
that
one's
we
sticking
can
any
put
of
the
my signs
signs
out
out is
around the
there,
lake.
and it's our property, and it's on a main road that we could get a lot of exposure, and we thought it would be okay. So I'm sorry that they got under your skin, but we have a business that we're running that we're trying to drum up work with, and it's a pretty simple way to do that.
I understand.
So,
But I think Bob may have fallen victim to the litter that happens. And we've had, I don't know how many roofing contractors, siding
Yeah,
contractors.
but he knew it was our own property.
I let you go all the way to the end, you don't let me go.
Sorry.
So they were all around town and probably on their own property for all I know. But we've had a problem, Jack can tell you about it, Andy Shigori can tell you about it. Political signs are one thing, they're hard enough to get those damn things pulled
Right.
out. But I think if it were one sign, probably Brother Bob wouldn't have done anything. And that's just my presumption. I'm gonna correct one thing that you put in your letter.
Mhm.
I did not take down a sign on 109A. That
No, it wasn't on
never-
109A, it was on the
That
property off
never
109A.
happened.
I didn't
I
put your
never-
name, your name isn't in the letter,
But
so I didn't even know who it was,
Okay, it was
sir.
me. That happened on a Class 6 road on the road. The road is our road, it's Tuftonboro Road, it's ours.
Yeah.
We control that.
Yeah.
It's not the property owners. So that situation is completely different.
We didn't even know who
So
did it, we
that-
just heard that.
So
Yeah.
I don't want you to think that there's some sort of movement afoot of the Board of Selectmen or tearing signs down willy-nilly.
All right.
And there is one inaccuracy that I'd just like to correct. You mentioned here that before coming to the office, he actually said on the phone to John that he would try to get the town to pay for them. I think that's a misunderstanding. As you know, during our conversation, there were many times where I was trying to explain myself and you kept interrupting me and I didn't get to finish my statement.
Yeah.
That's okay, I understand, I'm not gonna hold that against you, but I never said that I would try to get the town to pay for it. What I started to say was that I was gonna contact my other selectmen and talk to them about the situation, perhaps get some advice. But I never mentioned.
You did say to me, I'm gonna stand on this, you said to me, you'll talk to the other selectmen and we'll see if the town will reimburse you for the signs.
Well, that's,
And I said no, because you did that on your own, it wasn't a town matter. I wanted you to pay
well,
for
I'm
it.
not gonna debate it any further.
That's fine,
Now, moving forward,
yes.
I certainly don't anticipate any roadblocks
Mhm.
being thrown at you for personal reasons, okay?
Mhm.
If there's a roadblock, it will be something to do with code, building permits, whatever it may be, and even those are obviously addressed
Mm.
simply enough.
Yes.
And I do understand that it's gonna take a long time for you folks to develop confidence again in the Board of Selectmen, all right? And it may never be. But
We
if,
don't have a personal thing with selectmen.
I
I just
understand
felt
that.
that this matter needed to
But
be addressed.
I can tell you for a fact that Selectman Murray will not be doing anything like that again.
You have my word.
So far, I'm innocent.
Yeah.
You're up next.
And
But-
these guys have known me for 30 years, and they know what kind of a person I am. I went out of bounds. There's no question about it.
I forgot her name,
Okay.
what is it?
Cammy.
Cammy. When I came in to talk to Cammy, she was actually shocked too. She goes, "No way, it's Bob. I know it. There's no way he did it." You know, everybody talked highly of you of it. That's why I'm like, well, then I'm shocked too. Then, you know, then maybe there's a vendetta against me. I don't know. Then is what I was saying.
But I think you're
Yeah.
clear that you need to go through the process too.
Yes, we
Because
understand
it's
that.
The
Yeah.
lady that has the herbal farm there on Ledge Hill Road, they had a sign issue as well.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of not having gone through the process.
Yeah,
Well, the
and,
reason I was
That's-
upset was I had already talked to Jack,
Yeah.
and Jack knew I was coming up to take him down, and he took it on his behalf. That's the only thing, and that's all we need to talk about.
yeah,
You know,
and
it's
we're
just that he
aware of
took it on his own
permitting.
hands.
Right.
I became painfully aware of that when I closed on the property and decided to camp up there the following spring in a tent. And I was told I needed a permit for that,
That's crazy.
which I was completely shocked, being that I was living in Rhode Island at the time and I grew up summering in New Hampshire is generations. My mother did, my grandparents, we've all, every summer in New Hampshire. So it was kind of a shock, but I've been following all the rules
Yeah,
since
we
then.
get a permit every
getting
year, we get a
camping
fire permit
permits.
every year, we go being in the construction world, I know you need permits. I just didn't think I needed a permit for the cheaper.
Yeah, and I was
signs. It
explaining.
wasn't a permanent fixture,
About the sign,
Yeah.
yeah.
so that's the only reason why I
Right.
didn't think I needed.
Because they were temporary.
Because I have 34 years, I've put them everywhere in Rhode Island, and nobody ever said anything, that's where we're originally from. I've been up here going on 8 years now, you know, we live in Gilmanton.
So,
Yeah, so, to
Well,
me, matters are fine,
Okay.
we just felt it needed to be brought.
great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came in, and
Yeah.
pleased to meet you, actually.
Yes, it is nice to meet you.
Definitely, for sure.
Thank
And
you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good luck with all your endeavors in the future.
yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Good luck trying to find some
Thank
help.
you.
No, I-
Yeah, that's why he's in excavation now.
There you go.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Got everything, Pete?
Yep.
All right, well, our next appointment is actually at 6 o'clock,
you.
so we have
Thank
about
you.
20 minutes. You're welcome. We could probably go through the signature file, if you'd like to, and move this meeting along.
Oh, I've got the.
Did you want to do minutes? You skipped over minutes.
Oh, my word, we did. We did skip over the minutes. Let's look at the minutes. What's it? They're perfect anyway.
Right.
Yep. Except. Let me get to them. I think the first one in my folder is Monday, July 10th. And both Selectmen and Murray and I noticed that in the last paragraph on the first page, Ms. Juanita Hill's name is spelled Juanita.
Not familiar.
Yes.
I think that's all I had in these
Yeah,
minutes.
nothing jumped out at me in these minutes. I'd have a motion to accept these minutes as written.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we move to Monday, July 17th. This was actually an interesting meeting in many ways. Nothing jumped out at me as being incorrect.
Likewise. Move that we accept the minutes as written for Monday, July 17th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are done.
Thank you.
While I have it in my folder, I have a letter here from the State of New Hampshire Department of Transportation that we have permission to construct or alter a driveway for our proposed police station. There's terms and conditions that have to be met with that, of course. And that's good. That's one little item out of the way. One of the smaller items, unfortunately. I have a note to Cammy to file this for future use because it does have those terms and conditions. I think Bob's seen it.
Yep.
Have you seen that, Chip?
Yeah, yeah.
Good, we'll have
Will be
Cammy.
authorized to-
Yeah, we'll have Cammy file that for us, so when the time comes that whoever's doing the work will be able to follow the rules and regulations. Okay, and action items. We have the request from John Garcia to do work on the Willand Road. And we need to notify him that we need a lot more information. What he wants to do, we have to have the road agent check it out. I think we need some kind of a written plan on what he wants to do and make sure the road agent says that it's at least not harmful to the road. And
Right, he has to do it in coordination with the road,
Right.
agent.
so Cammy, can you give him that message for us?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And there was no, I thought you mentioned turning it into a class 5.
No,
Okay,
it doesn't.
good.
Then we have a memo from the town clerk about the Boston Post cane, and she has given us a list of what we believe to be the oldest people in town. The first one was asked and did not want the Boston Post cane, so the next one on the list would be Mr. Phil Stockman.
I'll make a motion that we award Philip Stockman the Boston Post cane.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll have to set that up. Action items are out of the way. So now we can go into the signature file if we'd like to. First up is a yield tax levy for $1,260.47 for tax map 45-1-17.
I'll move we sign.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Today's the 24th.
Yep.
Oh, it's a two-pager, sorry. Next, we have a right of burial for Mr. Mark Hazlitt. This comes from the cemetery trustees. Have a motion?
I'll move that we sign.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right behind that is a right of burial for Mr. George Hazlitt, family member. Have a motion?
I'll move that we sign up.
I'll second that one this time. Then we have a notice of appointment. We've agreed to appoint Mr. Tim Galvin to the Lakes Region Planning Commission, and this is the official paperwork. Have a motion?
Is this a new appointment? I thought we appointed it once.
It's a corrected
It's a
for
correction.
the expiration date.
Right.
So I'll make a motion that we sign.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ooh. And then we have a denial for an abatement from our assessor. Property tax map 2-1-74. There's quite a difference in the estimated value that was performed for estate purposes and our 2022 assessment. If you'd like to look that over.
2022 assessment.
Yes, if we look that over, I think it makes it a lot clearer for everybody before we have any motions. It was appraised for, I forget what they called that, but someone died apparently. It was appraised, and then, but our assessment is higher than the appraisal, considerably higher.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We have professional assessors.
Yes, we do.
Does it tell us who did the state assessment? I'm gonna move that we deny the abatement.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, we need this too.
That ends the signature file. At this time, I would like to welcome Ms. Audrey Fraser to the meeting. For the public's general knowledge, Audrey is going to be taking over multiple and varied administrative duties for the town, and we're pleased to have you.
I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
Hopefully this isn't boring you too bad. Our next appointment isn't due here for 10 minutes, and I don't see them. Should we run through correspondence? We have the library's monthly report. We have a message from Mr. Kurt Blomquist of publicworks.net, etc., advising us on how to actually ask for aid from FEMA with road damages and things. I think you've both seen it.
Right, and hopefully the road agent's gotten a copy of it, because when I saw it the last time, that's what I said.
Did you forward any of this, Cammy?
Everything.
You did.
Mhm.
Good. We have a memo from Chief Shiguri telling us that a website known as Indeed has flagged our account. I think you both read it. I'll kind of give it a quick. Basically, we have to pay to advertise on this website, I guess it is, for employees or help or anything like that if we want to use it, and we have been, but he says it appears that we have to sponsor the listing, and I'm not computer savvy enough to know what that's about.
Why?
But
Well, there's two different numbers that intrigued me. I mean, if there are
Right.
1,200 applicants,
at
I've
50,
only heard of 4,
right,
so.
I'm not sure where he got that information, but it's supposed to be $15 per applicant. It says here the last activity we had, there was a note that there were 81 applicants to invite, and that would be over $1,215 if all applied. And this was for one posted position. And there was another with 31 potential applicants. But apparently, if we want to talk to these people, we have to pay $15 per applicant. I'm not sure how that works. Nonetheless, he's notified us that we're not doing it. There we have it. I'd like to just put that away for the moment because we have our next appointment here, and I'm sure we can work with them right away. Please come up.
Us?
The Lochner's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
yes. I know you'd like to get home and have dinner, and so do we.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is interesting to be at 6 o'clock for you guys.
How is it that you have to pay to,
Indeed.
Interview who?
to interview people?
Apparently, I would
For
like you
what?
to read the letter. It's very confusing to me. I'm not,
Well, Indeed is an advertising.
Oh, Indeed,
yeah,
sure.
yes, it's an advertising app. So,
I understand they're okay, but not great.
well,
Anyway, thank you
they're
for,
becoming less great in my opinion.
We got away from another county too.
Yeah.
We got away from.
thank you for taking the time to,
Well, absolutely.
you got my letter, I see?
Yes, we do.
It's our letter, actually.
Yep.
We have a couple of things that are paramount in our minds. One is the safety on the road, which we talked about a couple of years ago, and you guys were very good about putting up those 15-mile-an-hour,
Right.
kind of a warning sign.
They are suggested, yes.
Oh, I know. They're suggested, but people don't take the suggestion.
No.
So Judy's gonna talk about that, and I wanna talk about the easement a little bit.
Sure.
I think that'll be very quick.
Okay.
I think the road thing is gonna take a little more time, and, we have some requests, and we'd like your help
Mhm.
to manage that traffic on there. One thing I wanna say is, Judy's gonna say too, we've been thinking about how many people use that road other than drive on it every day. So we think maybe 50 people or more, because they bike on it, they walk their dogs. People push their babies and baby carriages on there, and all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
So, we just want some help managing that.
So it's a major crosstown road with, currently now, there's a lot of erosion on the road as there is probably in
Yes.
most of
Most of the
every-
dirt roads in
Yeah.
town.
Exactly,
I know.
and it's bad, so, other than the fact that probably there are worse ones,
Sure.
I haven't called, because they probably know about it, but
I
anyway,
think they looked at it today.
We have pictures.
oh,
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we
I
do.
think they looked at it today.
Yeah, I saw some orange. Are
Oh,
you
no,
orange?
of other roads. I'm
Other
sorry.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, I drove Langs Pond Road today to make sure that it was posted at 25 miles an hour on either end.
It is.
And it is, yeah. Well, there was a question, and I said,
No,
I'm
it
pretty
is.
sure it is. Halfway down the hill on the Wolf Road side is where their 25 mile an
Yeah.
hour sign.
Were you speeding?
No, believe it or not, when I'm driving my 3/4 ton van at 25 miles an hour,
That's fast enough?
I wear dentures. I have, not a good idea.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Not at all.
the potholes, the new potholes have slowed down
They don't help either.
a little bit.
Where the concrete
Anyway.
or the asphalt meets the gravel road by
Right.
the culvert, I
Yeah.
mean, they were there the other day filling it in, and it's
Mhm.
just a big.
Well, it's
big
going
pothole.
again because
Yeah.
of the rain, so much rain.
So
Anyway.
we figured that it, you know, plus or minus 50 people,
Mhm.
between evening walking and, morning walking, the running, the, bikes, the baby carriages, the dogs. When we're walking, we always pull to the side of the road. Some of them are nice, some of the drivers are nice and they slow down, and others just go zooming by. One of the things I want to ask is, I was on the internet wanting to know what the law is in New Hampshire about a one-lane road and parking,
You mean a single lane, which.
single,
yeah.
right, a single lane road. Is parking allowed?
Well,
Does anybody know?
Well, the state doesn't set local statute.
You
Okay,
guys do, right?
so does Tufton Borough
I
allow
don't
that?
believe I don't believe we've ever brought it up.
No.
I can look it up in our,
I don't think it's,
ordinance.
again, I've only been here 2 years on the board,
I've
but
never s-
I've never heard of it being questioned before
Yeah.
in that
And
manner.
that's not really, I mean, it's a one-lane road operation, but people drive both ways, so
Oh,
they
They
absolutely.
have, actually,
And
when
I always
there's
have
somebody
it.
parked, there's like 3 or 4 cars going by.
I think that one lane, I saw the sign, I drove myself the other day, and
Yeah.
I think that one lane is,
Just for the bridge.
well, yeah,
It's
that's
between
new,
the-
that was never there before.
It's between the,
Shit, I killed that thing.
Aye.
hey, Brian.
So I don't know, I was looking, and then I went on Carroll County, and then I went on Tufton Borough, and I see lots of rules for 19 Mile and the other beaches and the boat, but I did not see anything pertaining to that, although I have been led to believe that because it's a single lane, there shouldn't be any parking. But I wanted some facts before I came here, and the facts are not known. So I ask that because there are people who park on both sides of the street
Mhm.
that are coming and using access to the beach there.
Mhm.
So I don't wanna tell you that it's against the law to do that, because I don't think there is a law, so I would like some clarification.
Well, as
From
far
you
as
guys.
parking on your property, that's
Well-
something you can, and not the road, just your property off the road easement.
Yeah,
If they're parking over there, then that's, you can
they
call-
are, actually.
You can call the police department and say, get them off here.
We don't wanna call the police, really.
Well,
Because, so
there's
what
no
they,
other remedy.
what they do is they park to the north side of that easement, because there's
Right,
a space there where there's no bushes and stuff.
right.
So they park there, and that's our property, really, but what we're suggesting in the letter is that there be no parking to the, it's the south side of the easement, because, well, when people come down the hills, that's when it, you know, the lake is obviously a low area. So when they come down the hill from the north or from the south, they pick up a lot of speed, and it's pretty dangerous if you have little kids coming out on the road, which they do. And there's a car parked there, and you can't see the person or the child.
Mhm.
In fact, the other day, I think Saturday, there was a woman with her chair in the road, and I said to her, this isn't a good idea. And she goes, I don't think anybody would hit me. I said, okay. But there was a car parked right there, and who knows. So what we're suggesting is that be no parking to the south side, because that's kind of the wicked point in the, coming around the bend there. Anyway, that's what we were suggesting.
Who actually owns the roadbed? Do we?
No,
It's an easement.
it's an easement.
Okay, so you own to the water?
Yeah, so we own the waterfront, and of across the road. So
Well, you
anyway,
have to kind of understand easements.
yeah,
I mean, I own Ledge Hill Road. I own 1,250 feet of Ledge Hill Road
yeah,
under that scenario.
yeah,
Mhm.
But I don't get to take ownership use of it
no,
unless we abandon it. The same thing holds true at Lang Pond.
correct.
We have an easement that goes out into the lake actually on that whole piece of property, and until the town abandons that. So there was an arrangement made when Hersey owned it
Yeah,
to limit the use or the access to the water, if you will,
yeah.
to a 50-foot,
It's actually 21 feet.
or is it 21?
I thought it was 52, but then
I
we had,
thought it was.
so we had part of a survey done.
Right.
We're gonna have a much larger survey done because we're putting about 130 acres into conservation. So that's gotta happen.
Mhm.
But in the process of doing another survey, Jim Hamburg, I don't know if you know who he is.
I do, actually.
Yeah, anyway, Jim
It's
goes.
my surveyor.
There you
Yeah, he's
go.
great.
He's my surveyor too.
He's way behind schedule, but,
Who isn't?
yeah, but anyway, what was I pointing out here?
The road.
Okay,
road.
so anyway, the road, 21 feet. So I said to him the other day, because I saw the same thing at 51 feet in some document. So he sent me a picture, and I have it with me, of the road layout, and it shows the 21 feet. Doesn't matter, because that's the only thing that's open there anyway.
Right.
Right.
But there are posts in that little strip of waterfront that delineate where the easement begins on the water side,
Right.
okay?
There should be anyway. I
There
don't-
is, and
you're
there
not-
aren't any north of the easement, but he, in his survey, he drew an arc through there. And that's, well, why I know people are parking on our property there, which I don't care. They're off the road. I just think they shouldn't be parking to the south side of the easement because it's more dangerous for people
Right.
coming in and out of there. Anyways,
And there's that
So-
rain garden as well, and do they park in there as
Yes,
well?
yes, they do,
yeah.
Yeah.
which is kind of counter to the purpose of the rain garden.
Well, the other thing is, that where they parking and stuff is, all that compression is starting to kill the trees, which is screwing up the water bank, the bank on the lake.
Right.
So, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Moving right along. We had talked with Chief Shiguri about ourselves and neighbors of ours gifting to the town some electronic speed monitoring signs that would be used on Lang Pond Road.
Mhm.
And
He has some, I don't know, it's.
Boy, we
not-
passed, we went through one coming here.
Right, it's
Right.
just a matter of installing the pole.
But he moves his
Right.
periodically. The intent, I'm sure that the Lochner have is to leave those there
Right.
and not move them around town like we do with the few that we have.
well,
that
if
would
we're
be
going to,
At least while the road is open.
Yeah,
right,
we'd like to
exactly.
have it there.
And we wanted to know when the road is closed in the winter, do we need to take that home with us, or what happens to it?
Well, if you
know?
gift it to the town,
It-
Yeah,
right,
you would give up any responsibilities for maintenance
Okay.
Okay.
or theft or anything else that someone might
that
do.
sounds good.
So that's what we ought to do then.
We
See,
could-
the chief sent us
It's possible for us to accept a gift.
okay, the chief sent us he sent the manufacturer the cost to
Right.
us and stuff.
What about speed bumps? Temporary speed bumps. You nail them down the 1st of June and you take them up 1st of September,
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
mean, I think that along with, we could post that at 15 miles an hour, there's no reason to have an
Well,
advisory sign there.
But much like any posting, then it becomes an enforcement issue.
Well,
Well, that's
we're.
another-
And we're gonna get into that for it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
And as far as speed bumps go, it's really hard to grade a dirt road with those speed bumps there. And that road needs to be
Leave that up to
graded.
the road agent.
or, I mean, there's any number of approaches,
Okay,
and we've
let's
just
hear 'em.
started, you've come in before while I've been a
Yeah.
selectman.
Me too.
Yes.
This is nothing is new.
2 years ago we were here.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do no trucks.
Yes,
Nah, I wouldn't sign on to that.
No, I don't
Well,
care
I'll tell you
about-
what, it's,
I only need one other road.
Yeah.
I mean, the point being, they can just drive another half a mile or so to Wambeck Road and drive on a paved road.
I don't think it matters whether it's a car or a truck. If they slow down, if they respect the speed limit, respect the area, slow down for speed bumps if we have speed bumps. the result is the same.
Bob, how are we going to get them to respect the speed
Yeah.
limit is the question. Is
Well,
I mean,
the big one.
My thought is if you have speed bumps, you have no choice but to.
I was behind a transit truck on Ledge Hill Road, a cement truck, doing 50 miles an hour. I've been behind any number of these dump trucks doing 50 on
Oh,
Ledge
it's
Hill Road.
amazing.
Yeah,
And I know that's not Lang Pond Road,
they
but
do
there
those.
is no respect for speed limits in Tuftonboro. You go to Moultonboro, and even I slow down in front of the school.
Mhm.
I remember when Melvin Village, everybody slowed down to 30 miles an hour because there was enforcement.
Yeah, that's right.
There
Yeah.
is, and that's my big thing, is, Kip and I were talking years ago when we lived in Washington State. We lived in a small town outside of Seattle. And the main street, 92nd Street, you knew
Mm.
that if you went over 25 miles an hour, not 30, but
Well,
25,
you can go 28.
yeah, maybe, you would get a ticket.
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a big enough town. They had a lot of people. I know you're short-staffed in the sheriff's department, because I see extra cars there that never go anywhere. They're taking up my premium parking spot for my garden. So if people, as you say, don't pay any attention to the speed signs in Tuftonboro, and we brought this up before, there's nobody enforcing it. There's nobody sitting there in our driveway or in that turnout in an unmarked car.
Or it doesn't have to be.
With a, what do you call those things?
Radar gun.
Radar gun.
Thank you. There's nobody doing it. And if you have somebody doing that on a consistent basis, I think you're gonna see a difference. Cause people are gonna say, you know, the guy pulled me over and he gave me a warning.
Yeah, but it's,
Am I dreaming here? Is that?
yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
you are.
you are, unfortunately. You're not the first people to have an issue with speed enforcement or any law enforcement in Tuftonboro, and you know that.
Yeah.
And without the staff, we're in a bad spot. I don't really know how.
You know, 3 officers with a number of tickets they're generating. I'm just gonna say it, I don't care that I'm on YouTube. Did you ever listen to Prairie Home Companion?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sponsored by Bob's Bank.
Yes.
Where their motto is neither a borrower nor a lender be.
Yeah.
That's our police department. They do not wanna get conflict. They won't stop a dump truck. I have never seen them stop a dump truck. They don't want conflict with motorists. I see them stop some poor guy in a beat up Subaru because he's, you know, an easy victim.
Hmm.
But I have no
Maybe that's
faith
our
that we
neighbor.
have any sort of motive to get any kind of traffic control in Tuftonboro. And Chief Shigura can come here any day of the week and yell at me and I'll yell right back at him. You just have to drive the roads. And somebody's gonna get hurt down there.
Yeah.
We're not gonna change the regulations at the beach on your lake
No,
on my watch.
I'm not asking for
But
that.
we do need to slow that traffic down. My old man's crew was just as bad as anybody back when he was running the
Sure.
traffic. And I don't have any sympathy for these guys who are trying to make a living. We try to make a living at 25 miles an hour then. There's no reason to speed, none. It doesn't help anybody.
Right, and there's no reason not to slow down when you go by the easement to the beach either.
Yeah.
You got, it adds a
People
second,
everywhere,
it adds
kids
2
everywhere.
seconds to your trip maybe.
Yeah,
And about the trucks, it's a whole lot more difficult for a truck to stop and get up and miss somebody than a car, if he's speeding. And those dump trucks come through there and they're going 50, I'm sure of it.
The dump trucks, then you've got the honey bucket people, you've got the, just
yeah.
the,
It's a
yeah.
short way to get to the neck. It's the
Yeah, it's a
shortest-
shortcut.
Yeah, right.
shortest way to get to the neck.
So we really don't know what to do. We get ourselves really upset when we
Mhm.
see them going by so fast. And you know, people, there's somebody who does roadies or laying rubber,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like, what is it? You know, what is it, you know? I don't get it, but anyway. So what can we do? How can we work together
Well,
to slow it down?
I've said my opinion. I'm sympathetic to the speed problem, absolutely. Nobody should be speeding through there. My suggestion, and I stand by it, I think speed bumps would be an asset
mhm.
to your situation.
Well, we were told that was a liability.
It's not your liability.
No, no. So,
It's not a liability.
okay.
If you announce that there are speed bumps,
Mhm.
people have to slow down. If they break a spring or whatever they do, then that's.
As long as the signage is there warning them it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be the whole road, but certainly from the foot of the hill, from Campbell's End
Yep,
to the foot of the hill, I don't know who owns that one now, but there, if you had speed bumps in that area,
yeah,
they're gonna slow down. And it's gonna take, especially a loaded truck, a long time to get back up to speed. They'll be by the beach, they'll be by your property, you'll be over the culverts, and only to find more speed bumps up the other way.
mhm.
But that's a possibility that might work. As far as law enforcement goes, I think Chip's pretty much stated that we have a problem.
Pardon
So
me?
what-
We have a
Is
problem.
there anything that can be done about that?
I'll go on my
Do you know anybody who wants to be a
Apparently,
police officer?
in my
Excuse me?
conversations with New Hampshire Municipal Association, gross incompetence is not a reason to fire a police chief. So, I don't know what we do. We can actually, I suppose we could demand that someone spends more time down there and see what that does. I'm not gonna guarantee anything with
Well,
it.
it's interesting, because when we wrote the letter, I don't know if the chief has seen it, but he stopped by twice now. And had a long conversation with me. I was just coming out of the water, you know. 2 years ago, when we mentioned this, he said, we don't have the resources, and number two, there's no place for us on that road to put a patrol car.
But there is.
Of course, there's plenty of spaces. This time, he said to me, I understand. He said, I'll see what we can do. I don't know what that means, but he said that to, I didn't, you know, he stopped twice to talk to me. As I was coming back and forth across the road. I don't know if it means anything.
Well, obviously, there's an issue between the town, the selectmen, and
By the
the
way,
sheriff,
I know it's
but-
hard to recruit anybody now for police work.
Very
Yeah,
much.
I mean.
But it's the president of, this is a long shot really, the president of the police union in Los Angeles told the rank and file, leave and go somewhere where you're appreciated.
Or maybe they come here.
It might cost you $15.
yeah.
As long as they leave California in California, don't bring it with you.
That's right.
Leave their
Well,
politics there. Go recruit.
I think the police are pretty good at that. But-
All right.
And
well,
then
so
that's my soap. That's my soapbox.
So
Wait,
Brian,
Brian's
this is
here.
Brian Gleason, he's a neighbor of ours.
So Brian,
And Brian walks his dog almost
Good
every
evening.
day
Do
on
you
the
want a
road.
job?
What's that?
Do you want a job?
No,
I'm still dealing with lawsuits from New York, so no thanks.
So he's on the Hillsborough side, right?
he
He's
is,
just on
he
the
is,
other
but
side,
he walks the road every day. And you know, we get people there from Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, New York,
Of course.
Massachusetts, of course, yeah.
Well, one thing that we've judiciously avoided is limiting the use of the beaches.
Yeah,
And I don't know that anything that you could say is gonna change on.
I'm not gonna try to change that.
Because
All I want,
Wolfboro's really stirred up a hornet's nest by,
In what way?
I mean, well,
if you don't have a permit.
yeah, no, if
You
you're
can
not a
use the beach,
resident.
but you
Right.
can't park there.
Yeah, you're not a resident, you don't
Right.
get to go there.
Oh, is that,
That's new.
that's,
oh, is it?
well, it's
The
been there
last 2
since.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
okay, so let's
Yeah.
talk about the easement for a minute.
Sure.
Yep.
I understand that is a permanent situation. I'm not trying to change it. I never talked about changing it. What I would like to do is have something there that I would show you and pay for that says that the waterfront there is private property because, for example, which it is, You don't
It's-
think so?
No, we can
It is.
respectfully disagree.
Okay.
It's within the right of way of easement of the road. And there was an agreement made
Mhm.
to limit the use of that waterfront to that 21 feet, or I thought it was 50 feet, but
It's
let's say
21
it's
feet,
21 feet
Yeah.
of access to the water for residents.
Mhm.
That is the only public access other than the boat launch
Correct,
to Mirror Lake.
correct.
And,
But the waterfront is owned by us. The easement is owned by us also. We can't do anything with that.
right, and.
But the whole waterfront there is about
I'd have to
700.
get with our assessor to see if you're actually being taxed on it, because you shouldn't be,
Okay.
unless,
We're not-
you know, it'd be simple. It's like, who was it, down in 19 Mile Bay? Brian Lassie.
Brand Lassie, yeah.
I don't think, he gets taxed on his docks that
Right.
he put out there, but I don't think the whole
But not the
frontage,
whole frontage.
because that's part of the old road easement.
Feel free
But
to,
we need to talk to our assessor
Okay.
on how he's taxing you as well, because that's obviously a
Right.
question.
How would
Okay.
we know?
How would he?
How
know?
would we know?
Can let you know.
Well, shouldn't we know?
Oh, I don't know, you should know by looking at your tax bill, you know, what you're getting. I mean, is there,
Would that say?
Well,
would it-
everything
What would it
is
say?
in
in your,
current
in your
use.
reevaluation from last year,
Yes.
there should have been a description of lake frontage.
I don't know, is there?
Yeah, and
I don't know.
And you can
And
see your tax card online.
yeah, neither
Yeah.
you nor I
Town
know
website.
exactly what your tax card reads,
Okay.
so,
Right.
And
What?
what would it say, waterfront?
well.
I'm not sure what it'll say.
I don't know.
But it'll tell you what you're
No,
being
it would
taxed
describe-
on.
It would describe the actual linear feet of water frontage.
But if you look at the road plan from 1956, it shows property of
Hersey.
what's his first name? Irwin.
Right,
It shows property of Irwin Hersey, right along there.
right.
That's in the plan, along the 21-foot easement.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
yes,
just-
we're not
I
disputing,
know-
Yeah.
no dispute that you own that property. You
Yeah.
just can't do anything with it
Right.
because the town has the easement.
Right.
Well, so,
I just remember in the 80s, and I was gonna dig it out, and I just ran into time constraints. Mostly because my wife was the town's attorney at that juncture, that there was a negotiation with Hersey about all of these issues,
Mhm.
like the 1926
1956.
or 56 roadies. You know, so I know that there was, it all went through the court, in fact, I think. So I was trying to dig all that up, but then I couldn't find Jackie.
So we don't know. Okay, there's a lot of drinking there at the beach or at the easement. There have been drugs, there's been people passed out on the street. There is zero in terms of enforcement of any kind of anything
Mhm.
that you would get at 19 Mile or anywhere, there's nothing.
Right.
So if it is, and it is, your easement,
Yes, it is.
it is detrimental to our neighborhood, the way it's structured.
No question.
So what do we do about it?
We're right back to the law enforcement issue.
Well, I think you're doing exactly what you need to do,
But-
which is to say, there's a problem here, and now you guys
Right.
fix it. And that's what we get elected to do, while you pay us so
I
much
pay,
money.
yeah, I
Like
pay
zero,
John,
right?
And if someone was passed out in the road or on the beach, it obviously has a
It's
problem.
like a 13-year-old girl.
I would dial 911 and get some medical help, if nothing else, just because I'm a good citizen and try to look out for my, and when that comes about, then possibly there'll also be a police presence. And again, maybe the source at that time would be apprehended, or at least something happened, but I don't know. Because here we are, and that's what I would do, but
And it's not a 12-month problem,
no.
It's a
it's a
seasonal.
hot weather problem.
Yes.
Part of the problem is it's only a hot weather problem. The longer something goes on, the more people
No, what
Get
I was
upset
gonna
about
get to is, that we're not, moving police presence from some
Oh,
other
no.
place to there for a 12-month lookout.
No.
It's just
No.
like, you know, the
A
end
few
of
months.
June to when school starts.
Yeah, that's right.
So, what do we do? Well, you're short-staffed in terms of law enforcement.
Yes.
There's a lot of drinking. Yeah, when Chief Shore was actually there last week, he stopped there was a girl with,
Cozy.
cozy. And he asked her, is that alcohol? And she said, no, it's a hard lemonade. Well,
Yeah.
so obviously the alcohol has, screwed up her brain.
And what did he do?
I
You
don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
We weren't there, he just told us.
Oh, you told me.
So there is a lot of drinking. There's a lot of drinking that comes in from the pontoon boats and all that other kind of stuff.
Well, that's another thing, they come in there where people are swimming and stuff. They're coming right up to the beach, the shoreline now.
Right.
And
So
there's no
little kids in
swim
there
lanes.
swimming around.
The solution that worked on 20 Mile Bay was the local residents got a swim line
I got a permit for a swim line there.
and got it put in. We now put the swim line in on
Oh.
20 Mile Bay because the guys got older and
Yeah.
couldn't do it. But,
I actually got a permit for that, I never did it.
yeah. So
Steve Wingate said you're gonna have a lot of vandalism if you put that thing in there.
well, they don't have a lot of vandalism at 20 Mile Bay.
Okay,
You're always gonna have people trying to get over it, but,
yeah.
you know, it's a public beach, so. At
So
least
is this a
21 feet
public
of it
beach?
is.
Well, the state, the waters are open to the.
Well, of course, the water's open to everybody.
Right, but a public swimming area, you can rope off. We've got it at 20 Mile Bay, we've got it at 19 Mile Bay.
Got it
You
at
can do it.
Wolfboro Beach.
I don't care about Wolfboro.
Okay, sorry.
But I wouldn't, but we could bring it up at the board, I guess, but I mean, if you got a permit to put a swim
I
lane
did,
in.
I didn't do anything with it.
You have a state authorized permit then?
I do.
I'd say go for it.
How long are these good for, anyway? I did it a couple years ago.
That I don't know.
Oh, the permits, they're usually good for 5 years.
Yeah, I think
On
that's
other
right,
things,
5
but
years.
I don't know if I don't know swim lanes.
So,
Could we get some help with that?
oh, it's no big deal.
Well, are you gonna put it by us, or are you gonna put it by the easement?
Well, how long is it?
I think it's only, you can only have 50 feet or something like that.
Oh, no.
I don't know, I don't remember
I
actually.
mean, you look at that one at 20 Mile Bay.
It's hundreds of feet.
I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly,
hundreds of
I don't
feet
remember.
long.
It's been a
Well, it's
couple
the
years.
easement. You guys should do it.
If we're doing the easement, yeah, I know, this goes around and around.
You see? We were sitting at lunch today, like,
I have a
what
pool.
the hell are we doing? You know, we need help, we need to be on the same page here.
We are, I think. I think we are on the same page.
Yeah, and
And
I
I
don't
will
think,
be happy
I
to
th-
take
and
the speed bumps.
I can't agree with your left-hand column over here. That you have a problem, we need to fix it, including installing a swim line.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got, I mean, we don't have the budget to do it anyway, we have to have that in our budget.
Oh,
But that said, you could talk to our Parks and Rec director and say you need a hand, does he have some, he's got a guy that helps him at the beach.
Yeah.
Just to stretch it out there,
mm-hmm.
and then it's there, and then taking it in the wintertime, and then people get used to it, and then ultimately, when you get old enough, we'll take it over, I'm sure, just like everything else. But
So who's the Parks and Recs person? I don't know.
His name is Dennis Zilembo
yeah,
with a
it's
Z.
limbo.
And
Zilembo.
if you call the town office,
Could I borrow your?
I think it's on the website.
This information is on.
it is on the
Yeah.
webpage.
Okay.
I'm so computer and I'm a dinosaur.
I think it's on there.
I just telephones and.
I mean, the departments are all on there.
I mean, I'll make a motion that we restrict the use of that to swimming, that each easement that we have on Southern Mirror Lake.
Restricted to swimming.
Yep.
Meaning,
Which means
I'd like
what?
to hear
Meaning
this.
what?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay,
Because I'd like to hear a lot more about this.
Not for boats. It's not to bring up your pontoon boat and park on the beach. We're gonna limit it to public use for swimming.
Well, if people want to go swimming from the other side of the lake, they may come up with their boat and go swimming.
And anchor it on the
Well,
other
that's fine.
side.
But,
of the swim
yeah,
line.
but I think you need to be careful about the language, that's all. I understand your intent, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be interpreted about 7 different ways. Maybe 3.
You wanna talk about your signage?
All right,
Well, I did.
I'll remove my motion.
I did,
That makes it
he said
easy.
it's not private property, is what he said.
Yeah, but even so, there could be actually a sign that there's no drinking, no alcohol.
Well, there should be that.
there should be one there
There
already.
No.
isn't.
There's nothing there.
But what happened to the signs that were there? There were signs
There's one
there.
sign there that says, swim at your own risk and call 911 and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's because we need a lifeguard,
Yeah, that's what it says.
but there should have been the same signs that we have at 19 Melbourne.
No,
And Melvin,
And Melbourne, right,
no.
for no
okay,
drinking. and
Mr.
no-
Parks and Rec representative. Bring that up, please. That should be posted just like all the other beaches,
Yeah,
absolutely,
except it's the only place you can take your dog,
right.
so we're gonna remain dog friendly.
Yeah, you tick off a lot of people if you restricted dogs over there.
It pissed me off.
You take your dog there?
No,
Oh, you have a dog?
I do. I have two dogs.
You don't take them to the water?
No, but their best friend goes to that lake, and so
Yeah.
you don't have to listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, my sister's dog will go there, and she won't go in Lake Winnipesaukee.
I don't
Just
blame her
why not?
either.
The dog won't, or
No.
your sister won't?
Her dog won't.
Too many waves?
I've seen
No,
your
it's
sister with her dog at 20 Mile.
It's a Leonberger. It's that big.
Oh,
No, it's not afraid of the water. It's just didn't like the water there. Winnipesaukee.
So I have a question for you, which pertains to the waterfront. We have, we go up, our property goes up the hill to the Wolfboro line. And there we have, there's a cleared area, we're thinking about building a year-round home there. The trees that are between us and the lake, there are a lot of dead trees in there and stuff. We would like to enhance the view. I don't know if there's any problem taking dead trees out, there's a bunch of them.
That's a question for Jack.
And that goes into the Shoreline Protection Act. And
Oh, I know that, but see, I got a guy come by and he does 50-foot plots and he submits that to the state.
Right.
And you identify, I know there's a formula for how much you have to leave, and by the way, we don't wanna take anything out.
Right.
I've learned a long time ago, it's better to look through trees than not have any. Like a lot of people cut them all down in front of their place.
Mhm.
Not a good idea in any respect. So, we'd like to do that. And I don't know, within the next 6 months or something like that, probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I'd recommend talking to the codes officer first, that's all.
Oh, Jack?
Mhm.
Okay, I know Jack.
So then you could,
He should be able to identify any pratfalls or anything that comes along with doing that,
Okay,
because he's read up on all the regulations and, he's easy to talk to.
oh, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he'll help you through it.
all right.
But, well, we can try to light a fire under the police department. And see
I
if we
think
can.
the fire's
Yeah.
lit.
I can have I can have a discussion with Parks and Rec director, asking about the signs, and I think, again, I'm gonna say speed bumps on the road, and if you have a
Try
permit,
it.
if you have a permit for a swim rope,
I do.
that would prevent the boats from coming in.
Mhm.
And
I
I
mean,
bet-
now they're coming right in because
I
it's
bet
deeper,
if-
because of all the rain.
I bet if you purchased the swim ropes and installed them and then gifted them to the town,
Yeah, that's fine.
that may
Shall we wrap
sway
the,
Dennis, I don't know.
electronic monitor, the mobile electronic monitor in the swim lines and put a big bow on it?
Yeah,
Well, wait a minute.
I'd be careful with the electronic monitoring
Yes.
because it doesn't enforce anything.
Oh, I know it
It
does.
just puts people on notice, and I'm not certain they care.
Some
it doesn't-
people- Some people care.
Yeah, no, but those people are gonna,
I'm guilty of seeing if I could actually max out the one that they put on Sodom Road
Oh,
some
really?
years ago, the mobile trailer, yes, on my motorcycle.
What is it, Max?
Apparently 99. So that just goes to show you that even, now I'm guilty of something.
Yeah.
I don't know, sometimes I think it encourages people to see just exactly what they can do. I'm not, again,
Okay.
but it's not the worst idea, but.
You know,
again, I
going
don't
into
know.
Wolfboro though, it does slow people down.
Yeah,
Even the one that's
coming down
out
over
here,
North Main
you
Street.
know, like
Right.
we pay attention to.
No, you do,
Yeah.
because
I
you're
know.
grown up, you know?
Well, there are plenty of grown-ups that are,
Yeah, I know.
you know,
But they really aren't.
they're just not, so we really don't know what to do.
Well,
I
we'll
wish
do what
we-
we can. I think we should talk to the road agent about speed bumps.
Right,
I'm not all averse to that.
no, I think we should
You
speak
got 2
to,
votes, that's all you need.
So can you let us know how you progress with
Yeah.
the Parks and Rec person or whatever?
certainly.
And we'll check with Jack on
The
snow
trees.
lines and the trees.
I'll have to dig
So
up
what are
the
you gonna do
permit.
with the house that you're in now?
Keep it and probably maybe rent it out, or we don't get that many family visiting, but
Yeah.
they would go there. We might sell it at some point, I don't know.
Why, you wanna buy it?
Personally, no, but I'm thinking of, most of the property is in conservation easement.
It
correct?
will be,
Or will be,
Right, it's coming.
yeah.
Does that marry well with that? I don't know.
What do you mean? Well,
Well, for public access, having some kind of, I'm not saying the cottage has any real public value,
oh,
like a clubhouse or something,
yeah,
but bringing that whole piece of property back into conservation.
you mean the cottage too? No,
Yeah.
that would stay out.
Okay,
It's about 4 acres. Yeah, well, you know what happened, you know what it is.
yeah,
That stream that starts in Wolfboro runs under 109A and comes down through our property, and then it splits about 200 yards away from us, and then it goes through the culverts. So, of the 146 acres that was the total, Rick Vanderpols told me there's about 30 acres that are considered wet, and the rest of it is not. So then when we were looking at it, we were approached by Steve,
Wingate or Scapizio?
Steve Wingate and Scapizio too,
Both, yeah.
and Rick Vanderpool, hoping we would do what we're planning on doing. Because it's a main source of water for that lake. I mean, when it rained the other day, holy mackerel, it's like a raging
Yeah.
river coming through there.
yeah.
And the work we did kept the road
It
there.
did, it did, because the water actually went over the road a tiny bit.
I've actually been across that section in a rowboat with my dad when I was,
Oh,
when I was
really?
little. Yeah,
Before we did the road.
long before we did that, that was in the 50s.
So anyway, the plan is to keep the cottage out of the easement
Mhm.
and about 3 or 4 acres right there. And then up the hill there where that I'm talking about, there's about 5 acres there we would keep out.
Mhm.
So the total's about 130 acres that would go into conservation.
Okay, and you're talking to the Conservation Commission about all that, so.
Well, it's the US Department of Agriculture, actually.
Right.
So they've been out to look at it. In fact, in my letter I mentioned that Rick Vanderpool and his crew went up there last year and they cut trees down across the stream to slow the water down, to keep, a lot of debris and stuff from coming down to
Right.
where the culverts are. And incidentally, he says, there are small brown trout in those little pools now.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's part of an ongoing program, actually.
Yeah, I know.
It's been done at the
We
Great
paid for
Meadows.
part of that, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
really do
We're happy to
appreciate it.
do it.
That's nice.
And we didn't put any speed bumps there.
Oh, well, those,
I think the speed bumps, even if you build a new house, would be a good thing.
right.
I'm just trying to clean up that lakefront problem, and our minds about, or your mind, and historically, the easement and all of that sort of thing, so.
Well, I have no question about the easement, the 21-foot easement, it's just the rest of it.
Right,
I wonder about it, because
Right,
on the plan it says property of Irwin Hersey, and it shows the road.
well, if you knew Irwin Hersey,
Yeah.
he would wander around Tuftonboro saying he owned the whole town,
Oh, really?
so yeah, there.
But it's in the documents.
No, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But it also went through a lawsuit in the 80s.
Oh,
So that, I think we need to square that circle somehow. Just make it
So-
clear to both of us.
what was that about, the lawsuit?
Access to Mirror Lake.
Oh,
So
So-
so the history, we're not really sure of the history, in 54 or 56,
56,
56, an easement was
deeded to the town,
in exchange for what?
$1. You know, it's typical.
Right,
Okay, and then there was litigation 30 years later,
right.
between whom
Hersey in the town.
and why?
Because although he was not as rational as you folks, his belief was that he owned from the little cottage all the way to the water with no rights. The town had no rights to that, any of that. So it was only by his good graces that he let traffic go by.
He disputed the easement, or what was it?
Oh, he
So
did.
was this the same
but didn't he agree to
man
it?
that
No, different
deeded,
Hersey.
or this was a son?
It could have been. I don't know. I'd have to look at the 56 agreement to see
Well,
if
it
it was
would
the
be
same.
interesting to see, because
Yeah.
30 years later, he must not have
Yeah.
been in his
I
right
mean,
mind.
There's a little
Yeah.
section of the survey.
The, because it's classified as a class 5 camp road.
Yes, it is.
Right.
So it wasn't really even maintained, or it was only seasonally maintained until, pretty recently, actually.
It was like a path, more or
No,
less.
it was a dirt road, but it was not anywhere near as nice as it is now.
Mm-hmm. It's in pretty good shape, really, given all the rain.
We've done a lot of work over the years, but when I was a selectman back in '06, I think, that was when we did or '05, when we did the culvert rebuild. And they spent a lot of money on the drainage coming down the hill, just because you had to,
Yeah.
because it was just washing out.
Yeah.
But before then, there weren't any of those little driveways off of, like if you're heading towards 109A,
Yeah.
there's a couple of little driveways, and I think somebody's building something out in there. I mean,
Right.
nobody was using the land, it was just wood lots,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, in '77, we appropriated $5,000 for repairs to Langs Pond Road and Bassett Road. In '79, the town voted to formally and officially classify as Class 6 roads all the roads in town, et cetera, et cetera. Langs Pond Road wasn't one of those. In '82, that's not applying. And what did they call that? I gotta find exactly what they called it. Oh, it's classified as a, first as a Class 5 town road, and then a Class 5 scenic road per RSA 231:157.
Right.
And then, rats, I can't find that one. Oh, a road to summer camps is what it says, yes. It's a little different, but on, and then of course we spent a lot of money with the whole rebuild not too long ago.
Sure.
And there was a traffic study and everything done before that.
With the culverts and stuff.
Yeah, but the traffic study included the tubes on the roads. People were saying that there were tractor trailers going across there and whatever, speed limits were, they did a big study on it. That was long before we did that.
Yeah.
Lloyd Wood was still a selectman.
And so
And there was traffic, but not nearly to the extent that some people thought. And speed wasn't as bad, but as we know, if I'm as close to you as you are to me, and a truck goes by at 25 miles an hour, it's blowing my hat off. I think that thing is moving, and it is.
Yeah.
It really is when you're that close. I mean, today I slowed right down, pulled way over for walkers, Now we're going down the road, they were very
On
appreciative.
Lake Pond?
Yeah, everybody waved, it was
Yeah,
great.
of course, because most people don't do that.
Exactly, but again, I can't speed through there, I just won't work, I'll be off the road, I'll skitter off the road, or my teeth will fall out, or something will happen. But apparently, other people aren't bothered by that, but there's a lot going on there, and of course, the town spent a lot of money over the years to keep our easement passing.
Anyway, this plan
Yeah.
was submitted.
That's a 1954 agreement with Upton and Hatfield's Law Office of Concord. It claims the high water mark in
Yeah.
1954. So now we have to ask, between 1954 and today.
Well, it says 55, yeah. you're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Same thing.
Did anything change?
I don't think so.
Well, you don't know. I mean, the dam could have been changed. I know it got rebuilt at one point in time that holds that lake back.
So there's a beaver dam there, and last year.
On your property.
No, on the outlet to
Oh,
Winnipesaukee.
yeah, right.
And they did was, when the lake was so high, they took part of that away to let more water out. The beavers have moved. They aren't by that main culvert anymore, because they were getting trapped in there. And I asked the guy about it when he was trapping them. I said, what do you do with them? We euthanize them. I said, well, that isn't good. Do you have to do that? But they aren't clogged up with sticks. I go down there with a rake and pull out whatever's there.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a beaver dam at the other end.
We just bought that piece down
I
there.
know,
Not
I
yet.
heard.
It's coming, it's not quite done, but there's
They
no more obstacles.
They mentioned that at the Mirror Lake
Right.
annual meeting.
I've actually, Ben Ladd and I were in the brook 77 times the summer before the project was done on the road, taking out those beaver dams and establishing the proper lake level according to the state, which many folks were upset by because they now had to step down into their boats, and others were kind of happy about it because they didn't have to climb up into their boats. And you'll notice down at the culverts on the lakeside, there's a brass disc in there. And that's actually a measuring point. You can use that to determine the actual lake level. And if you went over to the other end over there at Dishwater Mills, and you walked along the fence, and then along the edge of the woods, there's a little path out there, there's another rock out there with another brass disc that we put in to be able to measure the lake level. And we spent a lot of
Is it
time.
down in the water? Or where?
No, it's actually, they're both on one is in this culvert header, and the other one on the other end is on a rock that's probably 4 feet above the water level. So that you could go out there with the proper stuff and measure the lake level.
Oh.
But the beaver come right back. They even had one built in the box culvert, which is the bridge, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
They got a stick wedged in there, and that's all it took, inside it, not on the outside, and I've been waist deep in that thing way too many times.
And the only reason I brought it up was the lake level from 1955 is not the lake level today.
No.
Because those lake levels that we have for Winnipesaukee and Dan Hole Pond and Mirror Lake are all done in the 60s or 70s, some of them. So, in fact, the state didn't actually own that lake bed until the late
I don't know.
60s.
Huh.
Nonetheless,
Yep.
we will try
Yeah, those are roads.
Okay.
to help
Thank you.
and go from there.
We know a lot, but we can't usually get a lot done.
So where's the blockade? Where are you getting,
Well,
a problem that you can't
I
get
don't,
to
I don't
enforce
think,
it?
I'm not sure that we've gotten to that point yet. What we didn't have was a formal complaint. We wrote a letter, now you came in, now we really need to act.
Okay.
So we'll get a good deal of what you want done, we won't get all of it done, but, and we don't have budget for everything that you
Right,
want anyway.
until we go to town meeting again.
Right,
Then we can add things like the speed bumps into the budget.
Mhm.
We can't just draw it out of thin air because we're not allowed to spend more than was appropriated at town meeting without
right.
going through a whole bunch of stuff.
Uh,
Now enforcement, on the other hand, we can certainly try to get better at that.
for sure.
Okay.
But if you wanted to donate a swim line and maybe
Yeah.
some speed bumps, we'd get them in for you.
That's
Well, the swim line definitely should get done.
Yeah,
You get
I've
the-
got
You've got a permit to do
I've
that.
got to look for it.
What do you think about
And
speed
just talk to
bumps?
I think it's a
Debbie,
good start. I think it's a very good start.
Excuse me?
and the signage,
Yeah.
we'll talk
We'll
to
work with that,
the
yeah.
road agent.
So how much are speed bumps?
I'm all for it.
Never bought any.
No,
I mean, we're talking about the kind you lay across the road, like a.
Yeah, the
Big
yellow,
rubber-
It's
the
like
yellow
rubber
ones.
thing, it's
Like,
like a
you
triangle,
know,
right?
throw some spikes in to hold it in
Pyramid
place.
thing, oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just a bump.
Well, can you find out? I mean, that's
Yeah,
not
you
on
would-
my Amazon list.
We would have to, but we don't have the money to buy it.
Well, if you let us know, maybe we would,
All right.
you know?
We'll have to get
Yeah,
together.
If
with
we
the road.
bought them,
Okay.
if we bought them, then you guys would,
You got 35 days, 40 days worth of season left,
is that all?
really. School's gonna start the 1st of September.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want you guys to spend a lot of money, personally, spending a lot of money on stuff that we can work on getting through town meeting and
Right.
Okay,
doing it the right
all
way.
right, well,
Well, we appreciate the thought, I mean,
you
really.
know,
but-
sometimes throwing money at a solution is the best solution.
And sometimes it doesn't make
it's
any
not,
difference, sometimes it
you know?
doesn't make any difference.
You know, it'd shut us up, that's for sure.
Yeah. I want you to throw, I'd like you to throw smart money at it.
Yeah.
Put the swim line up
Right.
and get
Okay.
some signs done.
Yeah.
Go from there.
It
Great.
just makes people think we're paying attention or somebody's paying attention. The swim line goes in, signs go up, maybe it'll
Mhm.
clean up some of the activity that you're concerned about.
Okay, well, swim lines would be good and a sign. That doesn't cost a lot, right?
What doesn't cost?
Swim
Well,
lines?
anything,
No, no, he's got
anything,
the
And a
swim line,
sign,
he said.
yeah,
Yeah, he's good with that.
yeah.
I'm throwing that your way.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
you've got a
good.
permit already, that,
I do, but I don't know where it is right now.
well,
Well, when you're talking to Debbie,
I got one 2
You guys
years
are-
ago, I guess it's still good.
yeah,
If I can reapply.
yeah, I think your permit's probably fine.
Well, thank you.
Well, yeah, thanks for your time and stuff,
Yeah.
and,
thanks for coming in.
yeah.
Maybe that, we may not be.
I'll come back anytime, we're here every Monday.
Right.
Okay.
Are you really?
Most of it.
Yeah.
Most every Monday.
Why you pay us
Usually the
11
third
days.
Monday is the day we don't have them.
I should have brought those muffins.
I know, Judy,
Yeah.
we went blueberry picking today. Where was that?
Ledge Hill Road.
Oh,
Man, those blueberries,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great. So
Ledge
she-
Hill or Durgan?
Durgan.
She made these
Yeah.
muffins,
Let's do it.
you guys should stop,
Talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Gotta
thanks,
wait,
Brian.
watch out for the
you
bear.
guys should come by and get one.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
They're
The
fine.
muffin.
If you dawdle, they'll be gone.
They're on camera now.
Oh.
Bribery.
Oh, wait a minute.
Right.
We've been
No,
accused
we
of enough
accept
crime.
Well, I thought there was like
Yeah,
six
we
of
accept
you selectmen.
kickbacks.
I didn't realize it was so small.
No, this is a friend
Oh.
inviting you.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay,
sounds good.
all right.
thank you.
All right, have the best night you
Thank
can.
you.
Thanks again.
We'll do it.
Take care.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your time.
Yep.
Thanks, Bob. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Okay,
Take care.
see you around the campus.
Bye.
Well,
What do we got left?
we get back into correspondence. We have a note here from Larry Gill, Merrill Lake Protective Association, inviting us to attend their annual meeting, 10 a.m. Saturday, August 5th, at the Tufton Borough Public Library. I shall,
What day of the week is August 5th?
I think it's a Friday, but I'm not sure.
It's a Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
We have a correspondence from our town attorney, which I believe you folks have seen. It's answering questions about some of our policies and things that qualify us for the grant for the $100,000 for the boat ramp. She's answered those questions.
I kind of agree with her that we submit what we have
Yes,
and let them come back with needs or things that we might need.
tell us what we get.
Yeah.
We had this problem when they built the Melvin Village Post Office. Everybody, all the local contractors bid on it.
Yeah.
None of them qualified because they didn't have enough minorities in their crew. And then they went,
My wife's on that crew.
where are we gonna, and then the federal government did some investigating and awarded the contract because couldn't afford it. That was crazy.
But I'm hoping that I get back in here so that on Friday when are you coming back in to sign on Friday or you?
No, I'll be gone Thursday morning.
I'd like to have the letter back to that.
Yep.
but we have to reply by email, so we'll just do it by email and pretend the guy was here. But I'll run the response by you on Friday, and you can
Okay.
decide.
Well, you are the vice chairman while I'm gone.
Yeah, whatever.
Chairman in charge of vice, so however you want to look at it. We also have another correspondence from Larry Gill. He had talked to people at the state about what kind of signs they could put up to warn people there's a boat ramp over there at Mirror Lake, things like that. And it says here the only signs that would be appropriate, and it shows a boat.
Boat ramp.
Imagine that.
Boat ramp.
Yep. Okay, there we go. We have a new fact sheet from the DES, the subject of which is Municipal Roadway Soils Fact Sheet, now available from New Hampshire DES. I'm sure the road agent needs to see this, and it shows all kinds of different facts and figures and possibilities for roadway soils. Very interesting. We have a wetlands permit application, and this is for tax map. These are awful. Applicant's name is Lapping Waters Trust, which is fine.
That's not okay.
Somewhere on here there's a tax map. number.
38,317.
38,317, it's, our Conservation Commission has checked it out, made any comments that need to be made. It's standard that we get notified because it has to go through the town clerk. We have a response for a request from the state for more information to replace a culvert across the driveway, tax map 66, block 2, lot 9. Fairly straightforward. They gave them more information.
It's on a state road.
No, it's not on a road at all, it's in a man's driveway. It's on the old
It's
load.
leading to a road.
No, it isn't. It basically, the driveway goes across a wet spot. And the culvert is collapsed, and in the heavy rains,
Oh.
it starts to puddle. It's Lloyd Morgan's house, let's put it that way, across from
I'm
the
sorry?
Cheney farm. Lloyd Morgan.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't own it now, but I'm not gonna use the name.
Yeah.
So, things are going well with that, and that's our correspondence. Then we're into Selectmen's updates.
Okay. So as I did work on that $100,000 grant, I did verify that all of the bulkhead along the boat launch side of the pier qualifies as boat ramp accessory docking.
Nice.
So
Yes.
we don't have any issues there. As I said, I'll construct the response and we'll look at it. And I had a discussion with my sister about, it was just one of these poolside discussions where she said, why don't we build a graveyard on your property and then we can all get buried there? And it led to a discussion, a short one, but still a discussion about cemetery applications that are coming through.
Mhm.
And one I think Lloyd Wood's involved in, another one Max Ledoux's involved with.
I don't know about an application, but there is a single site burial on Max Ledoux's property, yes,
That,
which is considered a cemetery.
okay, my problem, and this is my
Mm-hmm.
problem, and we can make it a board problem as well, because I think it should be,
Okay.
is we can't have 100 different little cemeteries created. Because what happens is they go through the abandonment process. And
Yes.
all of a sudden, I mean, you know how that works.
I do.
All of a sudden, we've got 56 cemeteries we've got to take care of now, where they used to be family cemeteries. But the state said no. People can abandon those cemeteries. And then the town is required, after your abandonment, to maintain those. And I know Susie and you guys are working on any number of restoration projects, tree removal projects, et cetera, on the 50 or so cemeteries there are out there.
They are indeed doing that.
And it's a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
And if we're gonna allow anybody to put an application before the cemetery trustees to build a cemetery anywhere they want, I got a problem with that.
I don't know, okay, I'm obviously familiar with RSA 289. There's many rules and regulations for doing that. You can't just do it. There's quite a lot that goes on with it. I don't remember ever reading anything that says you can deny someone the right to do that. Now, and that, I just don't remember. I'd have to read it again. And now that I'm not a cemetery trustee, of course, I'm not really
Right.
paying close attention to that aspect of it.
But we have cemetery lots available,
Yes, we do.
and here,
Yes.
but also in those 56 other little cemeteries.
Some of those might have a space available.
Yeah, up at Calendars, there's 5 or 6 lots.
I know
I'm
the
sure.
trustees have been very leery and not at all pro selling anyone a lot in the Calendar Cemetery simply because they don't know who's buried there in a lot of places, or if anyone is.
Well,
And again, this is what I know, okay? It's not saying that it's not
I mean,
there, but
it got created when Bob Calendar was still
yes, it
alive.
did. I've actually mapped it out,
So,
and I've got coordinates that you can,
yeah.
from the fence, but they don't, with flat stones, they don't know which side they're buried on, they have no idea basically what's going on.
But I think we could, and I'm just throwing this out there, I think we could say, okay, no new cemeteries, because it's costing us money
Mhm.
until this cemetery and all the rest of the cemeteries that we have available are, I don't know, 75% occupied,
Right.
or some number. I mean, we need to be able to control I mean, I don't know if I built a cemetery on my land and it ended up with 20 people in it,
Mhm.
but Crawford dies, my youngest grandchild, and his kids don't want anything to do with it.
That's basically what happens a lot of the time.
Right,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, the town of Tuftonboro has to take care of it.
And a lot of these older cemeteries, the descendants of the cemeteries are maybe in California or in Europe. We have no idea where they went.
Right.
It's been so long. But and it's actually the selectmen that declare the cemetery abandoned.
Yeah, but it is.
But it has to go through the cemetery trustees in the process.
We don't have a choice at that point, though.
Right.
We had to, and I made a big stink about the word abandoned, because
It's the worst.
it's
It's the worst word in the world.
It's the way they wrote the statute.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we didn't have any choice. We
Sure.
had to accept that abandoned cemetery. We could
Right.
say, no, it's abandoned, but
Do we have an option, or could we make ourselves an option that if a plot gets abandoned, say there's 3 people there, 3 bodies there,
move them.
do we have the right to move them?
I think that's a whole nother process.
It is possible to disinter. I mean, it happened with the cemetery on Number 9 Road, and they were all moved to the Hearst Cemetery.
But why?
I'm not saying that we would.
I
but
don't
we
know
have the
why,
right to.
but they were.
Okay.
And there is a process that you can do that.
I know if there's some sort of physical impediment for leaving them there, that you have the ability to move them. Like if, for instance, that cemetery, I forget the name of it, down the hill from the Grange Hall up here,
Coming back, this was the French cemetery.
French Cemetery.
Right.
You know, say the road collapsed, or, you know, the state didn't
Mhm.
fix the road well enough. I know that we could move some of those people out of there, but to just decide we're gonna commingle our buried people
Right.
for
Well,
financial reasons, I don't know if that
the
works.
the implementation of, if you're doing full burials, having vaults, for example, makes it a lot simpler to disinter someone. If you went out on that side of the cemetery,
No votes.
you might find bones and you might not, and that's gonna be how it's all, there's nothing there because there was no vault, the casket's gone.
Right.
There's a lot to it, and I do understand the concerns. I think the trustees understand it too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and my major concern is just that I don't want, I don't wanna get into a situation where the trustees are creating cemeteries willy-nilly, because I just don't think they're thinking forward enough to what the actual cost is.
Right.
Or maybe you make the property owner agree to maintaining it into perpetuity?
That doesn't work.
Yeah, the perpetuity language is all screwed up at
Right.
the state level. And we've got funds in perpetuity that,
We can't touch.
yeah, well, or you could, but you're getting 3 cents out of this account and a
Right.
penny and a half out of that account. That's just
You know, like in 1900, $75 was a lot of money. A lot of this stuff was actually bequeathed to the town for the maintenance of that particular gravesite.
Right, and you can't commingle that money
Right.
with the whole cemetery.
It's,
So you can't say, okay, I got all these guys buried and I've got $1,000 in the bank, I'm gonna spend $1,000. No,
no, it doesn't work that way. You can, your head will spin if you get into this. I wouldn't recommend doing it. We've got 3 people now that are having a hard enough time.
Cemetery commission, do not volunteer to,
Trustees.
be,
Don't be a
be a
trustee.
trustee. Okay, got it.
but they're elected,
Yes, they are.
you don't volunteer.
You could get appointed if someone was to drop out, but I wouldn't
You
do
may
it.
do that, just to.
Because, and as you say, you have a direct connection to the cemetery trustees
Yeah, it just surprised me that that conversation would happen. And
Yeah.
I'm not at all familiar with the power structure, if you will, whether or not the selectmen can enforce a moratorium on new cemeteries, for instance,
now. Again, I don't ever recall seeing anything about it in the RSA.
or whether it's strictly the elected
Mhm.
cemetery trustees. I don't know.
I'd have to reread it.
I'd have to read it, I haven't read it.
Yeah, well, again, but it does have specifics of how to lay one out, distances from roads, wells, houses, all this kind of stuff. But again, I haven't read it in so long.
Fencing.
Yeah, it's an interesting
I
situation.
really don't wanna sign on to telling people that they can't bury somebody on their own property.
Well, they can,
Yeah.
but
I know they can, I don't wanna tell them they can't.
I'm not,
Right, but you're only seeing this much of the story.
I know.
You know, you're just obligating the town to take care of another gravesite, and we have cemeteries for that. Or burn them, and put the little urn on the mantle if you're that.
you can
interested
spread
in
the
staying
ashes,
home.
you can do a lot of things with them.
Yeah,
But if you wanna have a memorial stone, then you've created a cemetery.
yeah, if you declare it a
You keep-
memorial stone,
Right,
you could just put a stone in the yard, it's kinda like that stone seat down at the beach.
right.
I
Okay,
don't know, anyway.
anything else from you?
Had my say.
Right.
No, well, we had planning board meeting the other night and Camp, not Mara Vista.
Sentinel?
Sentinel was given approval to put a small bathhouse, toilets and sinks.
Up down at the beach.
No, near their lodge. And we met with the CIP committee, it was a joint meeting. And CIP, you and I are going to tomorrow night.
Actually, all 3 of us.
You're gonna be joining
Did you
too.
see all that stuff the police chief threw out? One after another, I think there were like 6 or 7.
No, I have not seen,
Okay.
but I mentioned that you and I were gonna be the joint members, selectmen's representatives, and Joe looked at me and says, who's gonna be the voting member?
Yeah, we'll decide.
Probably,
We'll let her know.
if both of us are there, it'll be you, and if,
Or you'll vote one time and I'll vote another time.
something like that, we'll figure it out.
She needs to,
I think if we're both there, you can vote, and if you're not there, I'll vote. It's just a thought. That's about it.
Okay, well, as you know, we now have a cost estimate and a very detailed plan to install scales at the transfer station. Currently, from his report, we seem to be doing fairly well with C&D. We're gonna have to wait to even know. So, when it comes time for the selectmen to put projects on CIP, I would recommend, let's put scales on 5 years in the future, for example. The cost will go up, obviously, but we can always move it if we need to. CIP is a tool, it's not cast in stone, as we know. But that would be my suggestion, that we put it in the future. If it's there, it's a placeholder. doesn't interfere with any other plans that we've got. And then again, if it turns out at the end of November that we're in terrible shape, we write a warrant article or the last minute if we have to. I don't see any other way out of it, but at this point, it looks like we may be doing better, so.
Yeah, I think, I'm not confident that we are, but I hope we are. And I
Well, on
think
that,
now that we have Audrey starting,
right,
we can get a real clear picture on what the revenue coming in
right,
versus the expense going
Better
out
handle.
is.
sure. I had a resident that parked on 109 down by the beach, and instead of walking all the way to the gate area where you walk into the beach off of 109, he started at the fence and walked on the inside of the fence down along to the beach because he didn't want to walk all the way down. He suggested, which I don't particularly like, that whoever maintains the beach cut a trail through so that you can have access from the end of the fence farther up the road towards what used to be Pac 2000 instead of having to walk all the way down. Yeah, and he suggested that. I'm not inclined to pursue that avenue. It's just the state put the fence up. They have a gate there so the snowmobiles can cross. People use it to go to the beach.
Right,
I
and
think
there's
that's
parking there.
it's adequate enough. If they don't want to walk that distance, well,
The distance from the bridge to the gate?
no, the other way. From the Pac 2000 end of the fence coming down. Instead of walking down the left-hand side of the road from Pac 2000, he went around the end of the fence and then walked down the inside of the fence, but it still took him way out around. He thinks there should be a path straight through so people don't have to go down to, well, there you go. Again, even when we get to our property, it makes no sense to me to do that.
And why didn't he just go walk the road to the beach? This is probably the same, what was the other thing you were going to tell us about?
It goes to the beach. I got a message. An older lady fell at the beach trying to get out of the water and had to be helped out by her caregiver. There's no handrails to assist people getting into the water. And children are using pieces of the broken blocks that are down there, the landscaping blocks. They're spreading them around the beach in the water, and it's very dangerous. And we should not, and waiting to see what the engineer comes up with is not a good idea. And we should ensure that year-round access to the lake is maintained. And that was a message I got from a taxpayer.
Well, we do have year-round access to the lake.
Well, maintaining that year-round access was her concern in that particular respect. Beyond that, I think I can feel free to speak about cemeteries since you brought it up. As you may or may not, you probably know, Bob may not, but the man that was mowing the cemeteries resigned his position suddenly. The trustees it's actually been done, hire someone as an emergency situation to go out and finish mowing this side of the cemetery. And they're confident that at their first meeting, they'll be able to hire him to take over.
And the budget won't be adversely impacted?
That hasn't been discussed yet. I just happened to come out here today because being the volunteer sexton, I do have a little bit in my head and some information about what goes on. But the citizens can rest assured that it, as best as can be done, this cemetery out here especially will be mowed. And the seeding and fertilizing efforts that have been going on seem to pay it off. It's quite green out there. It isn't always perfect grass, but the bare spots have been filled in, the rain has helped. In fact, it actually hurt a lot because stuff grew so fast and you couldn't mow when it was wet and things like that, but they're making progress with that. That's all I have.
We did cemeteries, what was the other thing we talked about, the beach?
The beach.
Have either of you gone to the concerts?
No.
I went to one.
Good.
Good, I mean, it wasn't a huge turnout, but, I know there were probably 100 people there. It was a nice night. It wasn't last week, it was the week before.
Well, actually, 100 people
Dennis has
there.
got some function going on where he wanted a cash bar.
Some kind of a dancing, I don't think it's the ballroom dancing classes, but something else.
Oh, it's dancing through
through the decades, right?
Right. And
No, and we just, there's no way we can do a cash bar.
I think both Guy and I made that decision sua sponte, without having a meeting. There's no alcohol at the meeting.
Well, the signs are there,
Yeah,
period.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, if we wanna change that and have that at some kind of venue where people can have weddings with open bars and that kind of thing,
We've just gone through a situation where there's no signage apparently at one of our beaches,
right,
and it's being abused, so I think we should just leave it alone.
yeah.
Yep.
Other than that, I think it's fine.
Then I would entertain it.
And you're not here next week.
I should be here, I'm here next Monday, but not next meeting, because Monday is still in July.
Yes,
Oh,
no
so
meeting.
you don't have a meeting next week?
No,
No,
Okay.
no, the 31st of July is Monday.
August 7th is the next one.
Right, and I should be here for that.
Okay.
I fly to Hungary the next day.
No, I thought we had a meeting next Monday, that's the only reason I asked. If
Okay.
we're not having a meeting, then
Nope, we're good.
I'm not gonna be here either.
All right.
Bob will be here.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
So the